Chapter 221. The Gods One. Celestial Realm. The light here didn't shine. It declared. Adam stepped through the tear, the others behind him, and instantly the air thickened, like walking into the weight of judgment itself. Columns rose on all sides, not built from stone but from concepts: time, law, order, death, even silence. They pulsed faintly with God-forged energy, a testament to how long this place had existed, and how long it had been watching. Adam's boots clicked against the floor, an endless stretch of mirrored marble that didn't reflect them, but the versions of themselves they could have become. Joshua scanned the hall with a frown. This place is wrong. Aurora was quiet, her hand brushing against her earring crystal, eyes sharp. It's not reacting to me either. Arya walked closer to the center, murmuring, I can't feel time here. I can't even feel myself. And then they saw them. Figures. Dozens. No, hundreds. Stacked on every step of the spiraling dais ahead. Sitting. Standing. Kneeling. All motionless. Replacements. Eyes lifeless. Skin pale like paper. Every one of them a copy of someone. Some looked like Adam. Some like Aurora. Joshua. Alice. Even Arya. False lives frozen mid-thought. And above them all, two thrones. One sat empty, the other occupied. Male, clad in robes that shimmered like they were woven from decrees, with a calm smile like everything was already over. He sat with his fingers steepled, eyes half-lidded. His god form radiated control, not power, command. Beside him, standing as still as a statue, Thea. Her silver eyes dim. Adam didn't slow. He didn't need to. Male, he said flatly. The name dropped like an execution bell. Male smiled wider. You finally made it. Joshua stepped up beside Adam, fists clenched. What is this? What are all those things?
Ah, Mael Breted.
Perfection. Aurora narrowed her eyes. You call that perfection? Male rose slowly, every motion smooth, practiced. Like this was a play and he'd memorized every act. They are balance, he said. Consistency. A world that doesn't break because a handful of humans think they're above gods. Adam didn't respond. His eyes swept the room. Every one of the copies was breathing, dreaming, waiting. Male continued, stepping forward. You, Adam, broke too many rules. You became a force of anomaly, of deviation. The more you exist, the more reality bends. He gestured around. I simply removed the chaos. I took your family because you no longer deserved them. I made replacements. Ones that obey. Ones that fit. You stole them, Adam said, voice low. Male chuckled. I saved them from what you would have become. Vale peeked his head out from behind Alice, eyes wide. Okay, just to confirm. I did not sign up for this when I came to cook a post-war meal. Aurora ignored him. Where are they, Male? Thea stirred now, her voice soft. Still alive, for now, but hidden. Caged in folds of law even Adam can't see. Yet. Male stepped off the dais. His eyes finally opened fully. They burned. Not with heat. Not with power. With intent. You all talk of freedom, he said, voice echoing through the hall. But you don't understand what freedom is. It's disorder. It's destruction. It's you, Adam. You are a walking fracture. A sovereign mistake. He stopped a few paces from them. I don't hate you. I respect what you achieved. But there comes a time when a god must intervene before a parasite destroys the system. Joshua's eyes flared. Parasite.
Vael Vispered. Ov.
That's gonna get someone hit. Adam didn't blink. He didn't raise his voice. He just said, You talk too much. Male smiled. And you act too fast. The entire ceiling cracked.
No, Skiftig.
The air tore open above them as the sky rearranged. Male lifted a hand, and thousands of golden threads dropped down from the air. Each one connected to a replacement, and each one began to move. Shall we see? Male said. Whose story ends first? Adam raised his hand, and the floor glowed. Flames flickered. The portal behind them pulsed once, and Alfred stepped through, blade slung over his back. Eyes already lit. Hope I'm not late. Adam didn't look back. He smiled. You're right on time. The battle for the celestial throne had begun. Elsewhere, between realms, the sky here didn't end. It looped. A place where even gods walked carefully, where time bent like a whisper and power bled through the cracks in existence. A voice echoed through the stillness, low and amused. That bastard male is agitated recently, it said, like someone commenting on the weather. I think it's time we paid him a visit. A pulse of golden-red energy rolled across the horizon. A figure stepped forward from the shadow of a broken star. Tall, regal, barefoot, his cloak trailing threads of reality behind him like drifting galaxies. Oron, the god of Echelon, master of hierarchy, keeper of divine order. He cracked his neck lazily. He's been too quiet for too long, and now he's loud at the wrong time. That's never a good sign. Another voice followed, this one layered in ripples, like a river made of language. Male never liked sharing power. Now he's building thrones. From a split in the sky stepped Salira, goddess of flow and knowledge, her eyes made of ink, hair shifting with runes that never repeated. She looked at Oron. Do you think he's scared? I think he's cornered, Oron replied. Another portal opened, this one icy and slow, cracking like a glacier breaking through the stars. Out came a woman wreathed in snowfire and stormlight. Iravel, goddess of stillness. She said nothing. She didn't need to. The temperature dropped just by her standing there. A moment passed. Then, Rook, the beast god of hunger, landed like a meteor beside them, licking blood off his knuckles. Males shaking cages again? About time. I was getting bored. More figures appeared, gods without names to mortals, forces older than understanding. Not all allies, not all enemies, but they were all moving, because something had shifted, something real. Male had broken a rule that even gods didn't speak out loud. He moved against his own. And now, even the ones who didn't like each other were moving. Salira narrowed her eyes, her tone quiet. If he thinks this ends with one throne, he's wrong. Oron turned toward the rising gateway to the celestial plane. He took a single step, and the sky split. All of them followed. The gods were coming, not to save Adam. Chapter 222, God Killers. Celestial Plane. The realm shuddered. Not from battle. Not yet. From presence. One by one, the sky peeled open, like seams across the fabric of divinity, and the true gods stepped in. First came Oron, tall and barefoot, his cloak trailing infinite realities. As he entered, the floor beneath him rearranged itself, hierarchy reacting to its architect. With a single nod, every pillar of order bowed slightly. Next was Salira, her body humming with the language of creation. Symbols flowed across her skin like tides, runes that morphed as she breathed. As she walked, the mirrored marble changed, reflecting potential futures she had already dismissed. Then Iravel arrived in a cold wind. A burst of heat tore across the hall as Rook landed with a snarl. Horned, beastly, jaw twitching with unspent hunger. He said nothing, but the floor beneath him bled steam. And more. Dozens. The sky didn't just open, it spilled. Gods without names mortals could speak. Deities who represented ideas that had no form. Stars that had learned to walk. And they all came to one place. The throne. Male stood waiting, eyes gleaming, threads still pulsing from his fingers, linking him to the replacements below. Welcome, he said, arms spreading slightly, to the final order. Adam didn't move. Alfred stood at his side, flames low but coiled. Aurora narrowed her eyes, scanning the divine crowd. Joshua kept a hand on his blade. Alice muttered under her breath. Arya closed her eyes and tried not to let her heartbeat betray her. Vale, behind them all, muttered to himself. Yeah, okay. Definitely didn't sign up for this. Salira was the first to speak. Her voice came gently, like knowledge dipped in concern. Adam Dark, You're not a god. A pause. Not a whisper in the realm. Even Mael didn't speak. Only Adam. Never said I was. Oron chuckled low. Yet you walk like one. Talk like one. Command like one. You make choices that shift cosmic balance. And you wear no crest. I don't need one, Adam said simply. Salira's eyes sharpened. That's the problem. Iravel tilted her head, frost forming in her hair. You exist outside the hierarchy, unbound, unchained. That makes you a threat to all of us. Alfred stepped forward slightly. He's done more for the balance than any of you. Balance? Oron snapped. You mean tearing holes in timelines? Uplifting mortals into legends? Destroying constructs we took eons to prepare just to keep the realms intact. He pointed to the throne hall behind them, where the replacements still knelt in silent worship. You broke this, he said, eyes cold. You made him desperate. He gestured to Mael. Mael didn't flinch, didn't argue. He simply waited. Salira's voice cut next. We agreed long ago no god should interfere directly with mortal fate. And yet, Adam shaped not just fate but meaning. His love, his war, his defiance. They inspired deviation across 7 planes. Iravel's eyes dimmed further. You made mortals think they could challenge us. Aurora stepped forward. So you're mad because he gave people hope? Rook growled. No. We're mad because he made them dangerous. The ground rumbled as dozens of gods took slow, collective steps closer. Not attacking, just surrounding, encircling. Salira's tone was almost pitying. You were born human, Adam. We respect that. But now you've climbed too far, too fast. And without chains. Oron narrowed his gaze. You're not ascending. You're infecting. Arya's lips parted. He's not a virus. Mael finally raised a hand. The others paused. Let him speak. He turned to Adam. You are anomaly incarnate, Mael said calmly. You gave mortals a reason to reject divine rule. You shattered the silence we spent eternity building. You walk into our sanctum, and you bring chaos. Always chaos. He took a breath. Even now, I don't hate you, but I do pity you, because you actually believe you're still in control. Adam's aura flared slightly. Not violently, not loud, but final. Control is an illusion, he said, and you've clung to it for too long. Salira frowned. Even now, you speak like a god. No, Adam said. I speak like a man who remembers what need feels like. Oron's eyes glinted. Then you'll remember how helpless it feels to lose everything. A single beam of divine light fell from the sky, and a cage began to descend, glowing with law, etched with ancient truths. A prison designed to hold gods, kings, monsters. But Adam didn't flinch. Instead,
Alfred Laukhet.
Y'all think that can hold him? Salira looked at Alfred. Even your fire bends to divine law.
Alfred's grin sharpened.
Only when I let it. He stepped beside Adam, unsheathing Infernastra, the blade humming with living flame. Aurora moved beside him, light radiating from her palms. Joshua's blade was already drawn. Alice had a throwing knife flickering with lightning. Even Vale cracked his knuckles with a shaky grin. Guess we're doing this. Rook growled. You dare raise blades against the divine? Adam looked at them all. Every god, every throne, every false truth. Then at Mael, and simply said, if I'm the fracture, then maybe the system needs to break. The divine cage finished descending. The hall glowed. A war was seconds from erupting. I'm going to have so much fun when I kill you all, Adam said, voice low and sharp like broken glass. Pathetic gods. He raised his hand. Portal cracked open beside him. Wraith stepped out first, his presence enough to make the divine light dim. Then came Crozer, dragging shadow like a wound that never healed. The air twisted again as a second tier split open, and Kaeldar stepped through, his sighs shaking the throne hall with every breath.
Adam Similet.
You brought gods, he said. He spread his arms wide, golden energy crackling around him. I brought God killers. Chapter 223. Celestial War. Celestial Plane. The moment Adam said it, I brought God killers. The skies of the celestial plane tore open like paper held too long over a flame. And just like that, everything changed. A divine silence followed, shaken, not broken. The gods, 100 strong, stood tall above their mirrored realm, cloaked in the might of law, time, creation, and fate. Yet in front of them stood Adam, smiling, and behind him his people, and two of them stepped forward first.
Arya. Alfred.
She, wrapped in robes etched with frost runes, her eyes focused and sharp like glacier edges. He, smoldering like a sun restrained by will alone, a quiet blaze rising around his form like a slow, deliberate storm. Oron stepped forward from the gods. You dare challenge us first? Alfred spat into the marble, sizzled.
No.
I'm just warming up. Boom. The battle began. Oron raised a wall of golden sigils, summoning divine constructs shaped like lions of law, each breathing compressed judgment. Arya raised her hand, palm open.
Fractal Seal, Frozen Loki.
The moment the constructs leapt, her spell snapped into reality. A ring of glyphs formed midair in front of her, rotating like a glacier turning gears. Ice crystals laced with divine mathematics burst out, piercing through their divine forms, not with brute force, but by canceling the very equation that let them move. They froze in place, shattered, and reformed as harmless snow. Arya adjusted her glasses mid-motion. They rely too much on faith-based functions. Predictable. Alfred charged through the mist left in their wake, his entire body engulfed in white-hot fire. Infernastra. Blazing trail. He punched the air, and the flames didn't just blast forward. They wrapped into a meteor, a burning trail of condensed plasma trailing his charge like a comet in human form. It slammed into Rook's flank. The beast god snarled, meeting the blow head-on, his claws digging into the comet trail with all his strength. But it was too hot, too wild. Even a god of hunger couldn't consume it. Kaom. A blast echoed through the plain. Rook was thrown across the sky, crashing into 3 other deities. One of them exploded on contact. His domain simply couldn't process combustion on that scale. Alfred didn't even look. He pivoted. And then came the retaliation. Solyra stepped into view, arms raised. Glyphs of forgotten alphabets floated around her. Ice and flame, both fade before truth. Her spell formed instantly, language made into weapon. Decree. Collapse, thermic duality. Every inch of the battlefield twisted. Fire bent. Ice cracked. The very laws that allowed heat and cold to exist twisted. Alfred shouted, his flames flickering. Arya narrowed her eyes. She's targeting our nature, she muttered. Time to counter. She dropped to one knee and slammed her staff into the floor. Invocation. Mirror of reversal. Absolute reflection. From the ice under her, a sphere burst upward, half frozen, half liquid, fully impossible. The language glyphs slammed into it and bounced back, straight toward Solyra. Boom! Solyra's eyes widened as her own decree tore into her chest, flipping her through the air like a broken poem. She hit the back wall and didn't get up.
Alfred grinned.
Now that's the Arya I know. Stay focused, hothead, she muttered, already preparing the next array. The gods recovered fast. Dozens rushed at once. Iravel, goddess of stillness, extended both hands. Time around her slowed to a crawl. Arya's motions dragged like syrup in a dying clock. Alfred roared, flames bursting out like he was breaking free from gravity itself. But it wasn't enough. Iravel's cold pressed down, until Arya whispered, glacial sink. And just like that, everything froze. Not the battlefield. Time itself. A second ring of cryo-runes ignited behind her, synchronized to the celestial drag. Arya had matched Iravel's time dilation with her own, a paradox of stillness that cancelled out the field. Iravel blinked, That was her last motion, because Alfred was already there. Infernastra, Judgment Burn. His blade whipped in a diagonal slash, flames screaming around it. It tore through Iravel's shoulder and left a trail of absolute flame across her chest. She stumbled backward, burning but not physically. Conceptually, her essence caught fire. Her domain caught fire. She fell. Not dead, but broken. Retreat! One of the gods yelled. Focus on containment. But it was too late. Arya was already in motion, her staff a blur of freezing precision. Array number 17. Polar shift. The floor split open into a spiral of cold logic, drawing enemies toward her and pulling their own energy into traps they couldn't see. Energy-consuming spirals that restructured their laws and crushed them in inverse. Alfred leapt into the center of it. Burning. Roaring. Core ignition. Burning crown. A tower of fire blasted upward from him as he drove his fist into the ground. His body surging with every ounce of fire he could pour from his soul. The tower spread outward. Combined with Arya's spiral, it was a storm. Fire spinning around freezing pulses. Heat amplified. Ice refined. Opposites not canceling but accelerating each other. Gods were flung across the realm. One slammed into the ceiling. Another disintegrated mid-flight. Rook, bloodied and staggering, growled and backed away. Alfred landed beside Arya again, breathing hard. You okay? Never better, she said, already forming a new spell. You? Alfred cracked his knuckles. Flames danced around his eyes. I'm just getting started. The celestial plane screamed. A line of gods tried to form a wall. Arya shattered their coordination with a wall of frozen equations. Alfred burst through them with fire so white it hurt to look at. Together, they carved through the divine wall like gods of contradiction. Flame and frost, chaos and calculation. They didn't just fight. They rewrote the battlefield. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't ask for forgiveness. And they weren't stopping. Because for them, this wasn't a war about who deserved a throne. This was about who never needed one to begin with. Chapter 224. Pissed Off Aurora. The battlefield cracked again. Not from the heat. Not from the frost. But from pressure. Something old was walking forward. The gods parted. And he stepped through. A being not of a single concept, but all of them refined into one. A high deity whose name was carved on the oldest laws, Vathros, the god of alignment. He who ruled convergence. Who once made titans kneel and silenced the flames of 10 suns with a whisper. His presence was not loud. It simply corrected the world. His body shimmered with axioms. Every step he took turned chaos into harmony. The battlefield straightened. The wind obeyed. Fire dimmed. Ice faltered. Arya and Alfred both felt it at once. He's neutralizing us? Arya muttered, sweat forming on her temple. Alfred clenched his fists. He's aligning the field, stripping away extremes. Vathros raised his hand. The space between them flattened. Flame and frost were pulled inward like magnetized dust, clashing midair, tearing into each other in bursts of silence. Then he struck. Boom! Vathros blinked from place to place, a blur of Godspeed. His fist hit Alfred square in the ribs, launching him backward through a wall of molten cloud. Before Arya could react, a spiral of logic constructs wrapped her arms and legs, yanking her to the ground like thought made into gravity. Alfred crashed, coughed blood, rolled once, and barely blocked the next blow with a searing flame wall. Arya twisted, runes bursting, but Vathros was already behind her. Twins of contradiction, he said softly. Two halves, both flawed. He raised his hand again. This time, crack, a beam of neutral energy struck them both. Not divine, not mortal, pure equilibrium. They hit the floor hard, struggling to breathe. Alfred spat blood. He's killing us with balance. Arya's eyes glowed faintly. Then we'll stop fighting as two. Alfred looked at her, caught her expression, and he grinned. About time. They raised their hands toward each other. Twin glyphs, opposite runes, flashed between their palms. Frozen flame ritual, twin gate initiation. The battlefield paused. Even the gods hesitated, because something ancient was stirring. Twin merge, Arya whispered. Form, harmony burn, Alfred finished. The runes exploded and pulled them into each other. Flame swirled around Frost. Heat wove into logic. Their souls aligned not as separate spells, but as twin origins. Their bodies began to shift, not fuse like flesh, fuse like meaning, and what stood in their place was a figure glowing blue and red, heat and chill braided through silver armor forged in the shape of twin wills, eyes like sunlit glaciers, voice like boiling snow. I am Equinox. The god stared. Vathros narrowed his eyes. Then he charged. But Equinox was faster. Boom! Their foot met his chin before he blinked. Vathros flew. He crashed into a pillar of time. Equinox snapped their fingers. A ring of fire exploded from their stance. Runes etched in ice trailing behind the flame in perfect precision. Let's burn everything clean. They moved. Faster than Alfred ever did. Sharper than Arya ever thought. Every strike was a calculated detonation. Every defense was both cold lock and fire wave. Vathros tried to realign the field. But Equinox was a new rule. Flare cascade. They spun midair, legs sweeping out. A torrent of solar fire spiraling into frost-etched blades that tore the realm's floor apart. Vathros gasped. Impossible. Possible, Equinox said, their voice doubling. Because we chose it. They flew at him. And this time it was Vathros who stumbled. But the gods weren't done. Because far above, a roar shattered what remained of stillness. Kael'thar, the primordial dragon, had entered the fight. He wasn't a god. He was what the gods feared before they named themselves. He burst through the upper sky like a god-devouring comet, wings spread wide enough to darken moons. The gods screamed. Dozens formed barriers. But Kael'thar opened his mouth, and reality screamed. Vum! A breath of obsidian flame poured down like apocalypse. Runes older than the celestial plane itself flared across his body, each one activating a different truth. Not fire, not void. Dominion flame. The kind that only dragons of the first flame wielded. 10 gods rushed up to meet him. One held a lance of sun. Another conjured a mountain made of solar iron. A third summoned a mirror of absolute reflection. Kael'thar batted all 3 away with one wing. The mirror shattered. The mountain turned to ash. The sun lance melted in his breath. He roared again, and the entire battlefield shook. Salira reappeared beside Oron. We can't beat that with rules. Then we break them, Oron snarled, casting a divine override. His own laws melting in his hands just to hit Kael'thar with raw consequence. Kael'thar welcomed it, and smashed through. He bit down on a storm god, and the scream was so loud that the sky cracked again. Kael'thar didn't slow. He spiraled through 5 more gods, body glowing brighter with each kill. Equinox landed nearby, back in twin form. Arya gasping, Alfred swaying. That was fun, Alfred coughed. Arya smiled faintly, frost rising off her skin. Next time, let's not wait until we're dying. Deal. Above them, Kael'thar spun midair, tail whipping across a god's throat, sending divine blood raining down like meteor fire. Below, Wraith and Crozer surged forward, silent, unstoppable. Adam, still standing, watching, smiling. The celestial plane, burning, freezing, breaking, and for the first time in divine history, the gods knew fear. Aurora's eyes narrowed as she stepped forward, the glow in her crystal earring flickering. The battlefield shook behind them, but right now, her focus was locked on one person. Thea. Was it you? Aurora asked, voice low. The one interfering with my eclipse sight? Thea didn't flinch. Her silver eyes stayed locked on Aurora's, calm and cold. Yes, she said plainly. You and that man of yours. You're both anomalies. Dangerous ones. She took a step closer, her voice laced with divine detachment. Do you even understand what two anomalies like you would create if you ever came together? Not a child, not a future, but an atrocity, something the world isn't built to hold. Aurora scoffed, almost laughed. Oh, you really screwed up then. Thea blinked. All you did was make sure we stayed together. You pushed us closer. She raised her hand, light pulsing at her fingertips. And for planting that fake, your little replacement, as my son. Her eyes burned now. I'm going to make sure you feel what real sight looks like. Chapter 225. My turn. The battlefield kept shaking. Not from war, not from God screaming, but from something heavier. A reckoning. And it was walking straight toward Thea. Aurora stepped forward through the dust and divine ash, the air around her pulsing like it wanted to run. Light bent around her limbs. Time staggered near her ankles. Even the gods in the distance slowed their attacks just to watch. She wasn't burning. She wasn't glowing. She was rising. Thea met her with the calm of someone who'd already seen this 1,000 times. You shouldn't be able to see this moment, she said softly, silver glyphs rotating behind her head. And yet here you are. Aurora's voice cracked like clear crystal. I burned every future where I lost. And you're the only one left. Without warning. Boom! They collided. The force shattered the throne platform behind them. Cracks ripped across the sky like broken strings of fate. Their first clash didn't make a sound, it stole it. Every noise dropped out as causality bent, warped, then snapped back like a slingshot. Thea moved first. She didn't punch. She pointed. Thread severance. A line of fate snapped toward Aurora like a cosmic blade, but it missed. Not because Aurora dodged. Because that future no longer existed. Eclipse sight. Absolute rewrite. Her eyes glowed pitch black. Every potential cut blinked out before it could even be born. The world around her refused to let her bleed. Thea's expression didn't change, but her breath hitched slightly. Aurora launched forward, her body shifting mid-step, passing through dimensions like sliding between cracks in glass. Dimensional shift. She reappeared behind Thea, already mid-swing with an ethereal glaive of dark light. Clang! Thea raised a shield woven from prediction loops, runes etched with timelines and truths. But Aurora's blade wasn't made of magic. It was made of rejection. The rejection of outcomes that shouldn't exist. The blade passed through the prophecy barrier like scissors through paper. Astral construct. Null spiral. The attack didn't cut flesh, it erased intention. Thea stumbled back, the threads behind her unraveling, unable to stabilize her counterpath. But then, collapse point. Thea's voice echoed, and suddenly Aurora's body was compressed inward by pure causality. A pinpoint implosion of events, collapsing her actions before they could manifest. It worked for 1 second. Then, infinity drive, pressure overload. Energy exploded from Aurora like a second heartbeat. The compressed field shattered, hurling Thea backward into a column of celestial prophecy, which immediately blinked out of reality. Aurora didn't stop. She blinked forward. Then again. Then again. 7 steps. 7 dimensions. Each step hit Thea from a new layer of existence. One punch twisted gravity. Another burned future sight. The third sliced intention. The fourth blurred her identity. By the 7th, Thea was bleeding time. Still, she gritted her teeth and raised her hands. Timeline lock. Divine axis. The stars themselves shifted. Everything paused except her. She walked through the moment, moving around Aurora's punches, painting runes in the air with her fingers. Prediction barrier. Sequence 444. A dome of infinite reflections sealed around Aurora. This wasn't just foresight. It was inevitability. Every version of Aurora began striking at herself. Mirrors fractured. Possibilities turned violent. Outcomes attacked outcomes. But Aurora smiled. You still think this can trap me? She opened her palm. Sovereign's dominion. The dome shattered. The floor cracked. And reality obeyed. Every particle of space, time, and energy within 50 meters shifted allegiance. Aurora wasn't bound by the system of the gods anymore. She was the system. Thea gasped, retreating only for her path to loop. There was no outside. Only Aurora's rule. "You're not the only one who plays with structure," Aurora whispered. And then she moved. Fast. Sharp. Ruthless. A spear formed from her own heartbeat, laced with infinity energy, trailing void light. She threw it, astral construct, singularity lance. Thea tried to open an escape route. Aurora folded that timeline before it could branch. The spear hit. The impact didn't explode, it erased. A column of silence rose. When the echo cleared, Thea was kneeling, blood dripping from her lip, her divine circuits sputtering. "Still standing?" Aurora asked, floating just above ground now, her body pulsing with harmonic distortion. Thea looked up, panting. "I saw too many futures. None of them had this version of you." Aurora's eyes narrowed. "Then maybe your sight was never strong enough." Thea moved again, faster now, her desperation making her divine sight stutter. Chains of foresight, causality loops, destiny locks, all thrown at once. 1,000 actions cast in a second. And Aurora? She met them all with one word. Ever-growth. Her abilities changed. Mid-fight, mid-breath. The attacks started missing. Not because they were slow, because they no longer applied. Aurora's body evolved in real time, surpassing each trap as it arrived. The battlefield distorted under her steps. The gods above, even the ones still battling Kael'thar, could feel it. She wasn't just fighting Thea anymore. She was consuming the moment. And then, she vanished. Not by speed, not by shift, but by elevation, astral ascendance. She became pure light. Her voice echoed from every layer of space. "You tried to take my son, my future, my right." Thea raised one final defense. Divine fork, thread collapse. A massive clock formed behind her, its hands spinning backwards. She would end this by undoing Aurora. But it was already over. Aurora reappeared, hand out, touching the clock. "You can't undo what never should have been." Her dominion rewrote the cause. The clock shattered, and Aurora sent one final strike. Eclipse break. A blade of anti-future light tore across Thea's chest, cutting not her body, but her anchor to fate. Thea fell, unlinked, no longer divine, just silent. The gods watching turned cold, because they'd seen something they weren't supposed to. Not just strength. Correction. Aurora landed slowly. Her glow faded slightly, but her presence didn't shrink. She turned to the rest of the Divine Council, voice calm. "If any of you think I'm still bound to prophecy." She clenched her fist, and Thea's broken threads disintegrated behind her. "Try me." And then she walked forward, straight back into the chaos of the war, where Kael'thar still roared across the heavens, where Adam still smiled. My turn. Chapter 226. You're not leaving. The realm didn't breathe anymore. Not after what Aurora did. Thea, once a fixed point of prophecy, now lay broken and fading beneath cracked skies, her fate severed, her threads erased, and through the silence that followed came a smile. Adam's smile. He stood near the center of the chaos, golden white energy bleeding from his form like gravity too heavy for reality to hold. His eyes locked onto the last unshaken figure above, the one who had yet to move. Male. But Male didn't flinch. Instead, he raised a single finger. Snap. The air fractured like thin glass. And from that fracture, they came. One by one, the divine replacements. 5 of them, each a masterpiece, each a weapon, born from divinity, upgraded by Male's own twisted will. They landed like meteors around Adam. Runes sparking, halos igniting, power shaking the heavens. One had arms layered in compressed thunder. Another carried a blade shaped like regret itself. The third, a floating priest of law void of eyes. The fourth, wreathed in artificial time, stepping both forward and backward at once. And the last, a woman with wings of divine crystal, her voice humming like hymns fed through broken stars. Adam tilted his head. Send more. The closest charged first. Lightning screamed, but before it struck, boom! Adam moved. He didn't dodge. He walked through the blast. The thunder arm shattered across his chest like cheap glass. His right fist swung wide. Crack! The attacker flew sideways. Ribs collapsed. Internal mana bursting in all directions. His body spun in the air, crashing through 3 floating spires. Adam didn't stop. He was already lifting the second by the throat, before the regret blade could strike. Nice sword, he muttered. Then he crushed the wielder's arm with his grip alone. Snap. Then the skull. Crunch. He threw the body aside like spilled ink. The air blurred. The time-wrapped one flickered from 5 directions. Slashes moving faster than light. Adam didn't react. He simply stepped once. And the moment around him broke. All 5 flickers collapsed into one body. From above, a blast came down. Massive. A cathedral-shaped miracle spell, twisting faith and destruction into a single concept. But before it could land, space shattered. He's not alone, you know? A soft, confident voice. Polished. Commanding. Alice. Her form blinked into existence beside Adam, arms folded. 1,000 rings of folded dimensions hovered around her like a crown made of laws. The miracle spell inverted before it could complete. It unraveled into stardust. Space is mine, she said, then flicked her fingers. The cathedral exploded. The crystal-winged woman screamed and shot forward, blade outstretched. But someone else moved. Boom! A spear made of crimson-black magic intercepted the blow, stopping her mid-air. Joshua appeared in a flash of red lightning, eyes burning with godfire and devil shade. Thought I'd just watch? His form surged. One wing white, the other black. Horns crackling. Veins laced with divine mana and infernal corruption. He spun, dragging the spear down, kicking the woman across the jaw and flipping over her as she reeled. She fired beams of holy rage in return, but he tanked them with a smile. You hit like a priest. He roared, wings snapping outward. Let me show you how a hybrid fights. He dashed, faster than the sound he made. Back on the field, the law priest floated toward Adam, mumbling chants in a tongue meant to bind souls. Chains formed, divine ones, but Adam grabbed them mid-air. Chains? He pulled. The priest came flying, screeching. Adam met him with a knee to the chest. Boom! And then, boom! Again. Once more, just to be sure. He smashed the priest into the ground so hard, Laws began to scream. Joshua slammed into the crystal-winged one mid-air. His body cloaked in flame and shadow. Their weapons met. Sparks erupted. But he wasn't trying to overpower her. He was distracting her. Now, Alice, he shouted. Alice extended her hand calmly. Collapse sequence. Dimensional splice. She cut space like paper. The woman vanished, folded into a prison between layers of reality. Done, Alice said. Meanwhile, Joshua landed beside Adam. Still don't need help? He asked, panting. Adam smirked, blood splatter on his chest. Nope. The fifth and final replacement, body still twitching from the earlier rejection, finally stood. He opened his mouth. Long speech? Adam asked. Then appeared beside him one punch. The head twisted. The body crumpled. The godlight inside flickered once. And then died. Too slow, Adam whispered. He stood tall again. All 5 replacements gone. The celestial plane was chaos. Kaeldar still fought in the skies, burning gods with each breath. Aurora walked the field, divine energy rising with every step. And at the top, Male, watching, still unmoved. Adam stepped forward. Now it's just you. Male smiled. And finally, he spoke. So much rage, Adam. So little vision. Vision's for those who need it, Adam replied. I don't. He cracked his neck once. I just need to end you. Male raised his hand. And for the first time,
Adam filin çıt.
because what he felt wasn't divine. It wasn't power. It was absence. Male's aura wasn't crushing. It was subtracting, removing, nulling everything around him. His very presence rejected systems, cores, magic, bloodlines. It was the opposite of everything they'd become. Joshua felt it too. He stepped back, spear out. "This guy," he muttered. "He's erasing reality." Alice's eyes narrowed. She raised her hand and tried to open a portal. Collapsed. She tried to shift time. It didn't respond. Male smiled wider. "A realm built on rules. But I am the end of rules." He raised his other hand. "But we're not fighting yet." He pointed toward Adam. "I just wanted to see if you were ready." Adam's expression didn't change, but his silence did. It deepened. Joshua and Alice flanked him, both tense, ready. But something shifted in the air. Not fear, not rage. Something lower, denser, like gravity had just discovered a second layer. Male started turning away. "Is that an excuse you're trying to use to escape?" Adam said, voice quiet. His fingers flexed once, then curled. "Pathetic." Male paused, then slowly turned to look back. And that's when Adam breathed. Just once. The air around him distorted. Then, he spoke. Not loud, not dramatic, but real, like he'd spoken directly to the core of existence. "Lock." Vociferi activated. The sound didn't echo. It landed, hard, like a gavel crashing down in a courtroom of gods. The entire celestial plane froze. Space itself locked in place. The horizon crumpled inward. Sound died. Light bent and then stopped moving. The clouds above, once drifting with divine wind, halted mid-swirl. Male's eyes sharpened. He tried to step forward. Nothing. No response.
No shift.
Even his aura, the nulling absence that erased the divine, couldn't reach past it. He was locked, not trapped, anchored. Reality had accepted Adam's word as law. And that word was lock. Command carried by vociferi. A skill no one else knew. No system prompt. No glowing sigils. No theatrical flair. Just one word. And the world listened. Male's mouth parted like he meant to speak. But the air around him wouldn't carry his voice. Because Joshua stared. "What did you just do?" Alice glanced at him, uneasy. "That wasn't magic." Adam didn't answer. He just stood there, eyes locked with Male's. Two titans. One smile. And for the first time, Male didn't smile back. Above, the skies of the celestial plane cracked again. The war paused. The gods watching felt it. Not power. Not divinity. Control. Adam stepped forward one slow step. "You're not leaving." Male's eyes narrowed. His body tensed against the lock, muscles twitching, aura flaring. Nothing moved. Adam raised his hand slowly, not to strike, not to summon, but because the air around him waited on that hand. Because now everything else in the realm was secondary. The battlefield, the war, the heavens, the gods, even the stars themselves. They weren't the center anymore. He was. Adam lowered his hand. The lock held. And for the first time, Male understood. This wasn't about strength, or legacy, or even prophecy. This was about a man who didn't need any of it. Because when Adam spoke, the world answered. Silence fell. The skies stopped shaking. And everything went still. Chapter 227. You not gods. The skies didn't move. The stars didn't shimmer. Only Adam. He stood in the center of the celestial plane, the lock still rippling like a suppressed heartbeat across space. The gods that had been watching, circling, whispering from on high, all began to descend. Slowly, cautiously, like wolves unsure if the prey was actually a lion. The battlefield cleared itself. Kaeldar growled from above but stopped fighting. Even he could feel it. This was something different. Aurora rejoined Alice and Joshua, watching with narrowed eyes. And then Adam spoke. "You call yourselves gods," he said, his voice calm, steady, final. But what have you done with that power? None of them answered. He stepped forward. No resistance. Even gravity moved out of his way. You hoard divinity like children holding torches in a storm, claiming holiness while building castles on suffering. The gods stiffened. Some clenched weapons. Others looked at Mael, but Mael was still frozen in the lock. Silent, breathing, powerless. Adam raised his voice, just enough to carry. Creation gave you gifts. What did you do with them? Turned them into empires. Turned mortals into tools. Turned yourselves into myths. He pointed at the council. You hold judgment over worlds. Rewrite lives like you're scribbling on napkins. And when someone steps out of line, when someone becomes too powerful, you try to erase them. The wind picked up. Not normal wind. Something deeper, like reality inhaling. Adam's eyes scanned the crowd. You're not gods. He stepped again. The air pulsed. You're tyrants, pretending to be divine, ruling by fear, controlled by prophecy, afraid of anyone who doesn't kneel. He raised his hand. You took my world. He clenched it. You took my son. His other hand rose. You took my name. The ground cracked. And now, I'm here to take it all back. The gods stirred. Their auras flared like suns. Adam didn't move. He just said 2 words. Come then. And the skies exploded. Boom. The first wave hit him like a meteor storm. Light, flame, thunder, wind, shadow. 20 gods rushed down at once. Divine spears and weapons lighting up the heavens like a cosmic battlefield. Adam raised his arm. One swing. Crash. A shockwave ripped out from his body. The ground shattered like ice beneath a falling star. 3 gods flew backward, ribs splintering. One lost a limb. Another hit the wall of the plane and disappeared in dust. Still more came. A god of storms hurled lightning dragons toward him. Adam grabbed one midair, ripped it in half and threw it into the sky. The storm god screamed. Adam punched once. The scream stopped. Alice moved. 5 gods turned their attention to her, trying to trap her in mirrored space. She blinked through the folds. Her crown expanded, an endless circle of refracting prisms. Space bends for me, she whispered. A sphere of shattered dimensions spun outward, like an implosion turned inside out. 3 gods disappeared instantly. Next, Joshua danced through divine fire, his wings burning bright, white and black trails ripping the sky. He clashed with a goddess of balance, her eyes mirrored, her body made of scale and judgment. She tried to bind him with truth. He cut through it. Her scales cracked. His spear sank through her chest. Half of me's God, he said, pulling it free. The other half doesn't play fair. He turned just in time to parry a beam of judgment with a whip of hellfire.
Spun, kicked, stabbed, rolled.
The battlefield shook with every pulse of his bloodline. Aurora raised her eyes. 10 gods tried to predict her steps, tried to seal her fate, but she erased each future as they formed. Eclipse rewrite, she whispered, her blade carved through probability. Time stuttered around her. She became blur, then beam, then blade. One by one, the gods around her dropped. Not dead, wiped, like they'd never been there at all. Do not measure me with a ruler you made, she said coldly, eyes glowing pitch black. Back to Adam. A god of beasts leapt at him, massive, scaled, monstrous. Adam caught the head, slammed it down, and again, until the god stopped moving. Another attacked from behind, wielding a blade forged in ancient law. Adam turned and broke it with his bare hand. The god stepped back, stunned. Adam touched his forehead. You were warned. Boom! The god collapsed, aura shattered. Above them, divine cannons fired, high gods launching celestial artillery from miles above. Each blast could level a continent. Adam opened his palm. Collapse! Every beam folded inward before they could land, sucked into a singular point in his hand. He closed it. The energy disappeared. He looked up.
No.
He jumped. Crack. The skies tore. Adam flew up, straight through divine armor, straight through God's midflight. His hands slammed down onto the cannon fortress. With a grunt, he ripped it apart. It exploded behind him as he dove, catching another god midfall. They landed. The crater was instant. Joshua was surrounded. 3 gods formed a chain of synergy, speed, pressure, balance. They moved like one. He smirked. You really think teamwork matters when one of us is a chaos child? His wings flared, then shifted. One feather dropped. The world slowed. He weaved through their perfect attacks like smoke, like whisper, like nightmare. His spear snapped, then duplicated. He fought with 2. One stabbed time. The other stabbed soul. They screamed as they fell. Alice wasn't done. 5 gods now, all with spatial abilities, trying to overwhelm her. Copy me? She laughed softly. You can't even stand on the same axis. The rings behind her spun. Absolute domain. Fractal labyrinth. They screamed, because they were already lost. Their senses spun. Their positions glitched. The world looped around them like a cruel mirror house. And in every reflection, Alice, smiling, collapse. Their bodies hit the ground at once. Aurora held the line. Dozens came at her now. Prophets, angels, watchers. Future, erased. 1 slash. Timeline, muted. 1 blink. Prophecy, denied. 1 step. She was poetry and ruin all at once. When they fell not just in body, but in purpose. And Adam still hadn't slowed. He fought 5 now, all celestial high ranks. Once worshipped, once feared. They circled him. He cracked his knuckles. All right. He stomped once. Reality cracked like a dropped mirror. He punched upward. The first exploded.
Spun.
Elbowed the second. Folded inward. The third lunged. Divine spear. Enchanted. Adam caught it. And ate it. Converted it to mana. And blew fire from his mouth like a beast. The 4th god shrieked. Adam didn't even look. Just pointed. The god vanished. Gone from memory. And the 5th tried to flee. Adam whispered a single word. Return. The god came back, dragged by reality itself.
Adam Vavet.
Bye. He crushed him beneath 1 palm. Silence. Only Kaeldar roared in the distance. Only dust moved. And Mael, still locked. Adam turned. The gods were scattered. Groaning. Broken. Weakened. No longer divine in presence. Just quiet. Joshua landed beside him, panting. Alice wiped blood from her cheek. Aurora, covered in divine ash, met his gaze. You done? Adam nodded. Now. He turned toward Mael. We finish this. Mael, still unmoving, stared through the lock. And this time, he looked like he understood. Adam raised his hand. The lock shuddered. Next was war. Real war. And this time, the gods wouldn't win. Chapter 228. Destroying Mael. A pulse rang through the sky like a silent chime. Not sound, but sensation. The laws that held Mael's body in place uncoiled like threads snapping under strain. Adam had released him, and Mael moved. The ground beneath him trembled as the air wrapped around his presence. It wasn't divine. It wasn't infernal. It was just absence. Like even the world couldn't decide if he should be there. He stepped forward once, shoulders still calm, expression unreadable. You're either very brave, Mael said, or very. Adam's fist cracked across his jaw. Boom! The hit sounded like the sky had been punched. Mael flew sideways, skimming across the stone like a rock skipping water. Pillars shattered. Walls exploded. Wind bent in reverse. Adam didn't chase. He waited. Mael stood, jaw bleeding, smiling. He vanished. Then, crack. He reappeared in front of Adam, fist raised. But Adam didn't block. He leaned forward, forehead to fist. The punch landed. Adam didn't budge. Mael blinked. What? Adam's elbow came in like a meteor.
Boom!
Male staggered back. Adam followed, fists flying in bursts, each one bending the space around them. Left hook. Male blocked. Right jab, Male dodged. Spinning backhand, caught. Then Adam headbutt him. Male flew again. Adam's feet didn't move. His stance was rooted. Solid. Like gravity had chosen him as its anchor. Male stood slower this time. "You're not using weapons?" he asked, spitting blood. "I don't need them," Adam said. "I brought fists to a god war." Male cracked his neck. Then charged. They clashed mid-air. Fist to fist. Blow for blow. Each impact burst clouds of raw magic. Mountains cracked from the aftershock. Male struck his ribs. Adam twisted. Tanked it. Adam struck Male's sternum. His chest caved slightly. They moved like titans of concept. Not just strength, but meaning. Every strike Adam threw wasn't just violence, it was rebellion. It was insult. It was justice. Male lashed out with a roundhouse kick. Lightning threaded through the arc. Adam caught the leg, pulled, and slammed Male into the earth like a rag doll. Boom! The celestial plane buckled. A crater bloomed. Energy snapped like overloaded wire. Male coughed, then smiled, then stood again. He swung. Adam ducked. Uppercut. Crack. Male's head snapped back. He twisted midair, used the momentum to launch a knee. Adam absorbed it with his chest. Then retaliated with a liver punch so clean it made the stars flicker. Male's body twitched. He staggered, coughing celestial blood. "You're not normal," he said.
No, Adam growled.
"I'm the consequence." Male screamed. Not in pain, but rage. He opened his arms. And the sky vanished. Everything above them became void. Not darkness. Absence. A dome of null formed. Within it, nothing should function, no ability, no force, no divine law. Male smiled. "This is my domain." He launched forward, fists blazing with null aura. He struck Adam in the side, a hit that should have shattered bones. Adam didn't fall. He turned slowly. "I don't need laws." Then he swung. Male blocked, but the punch still landed. Boom! The null dome cracked. Adam stepped forward. Another swing, Male deflected. Another blocked. Then Adam spun and kicked. Male's body bent in the wrong direction. The dome shattered like glass. Adam grabbed his face mid-air, drove him into the ground. He didn't stop. He lifted Male by the throat, spoke one word, "Stand," then punched him in the gut so hard the air turned white. Male vomited light, then snarled, grabbed Adam's wrist, and countered with a palm strike to the heart. Adam's body pulsed. Energy warped. He flew backward, but landed clean, skidding only slightly. He cracked his knuckles. "Try again." Male growled. "You're just muscle." Adam blurred. His fist hit Male's mouth. Teeth flew. Then another. Eye socket cracked. Then another.
Spine bent.
Adam didn't stop. He grabbed Male mid-fall, kneed his ribs, tossed him into the sky, jumped after him. Mid-air, punch to the back of the head. Slammed him down. Adam landed on his chest. 1, 2, 3. Male's body cratered deeper into the plane.
Adam stood.
Blood dripping from both. "You done?" Male coughed. "Never." He stood. His aura flickered. Tried to erase Adam again. But Adam walked through it. Fist clenched. He punched again.
Flesh med bone.
Again. Blood. Light. Sparks. Again. Male swung blind, missed. Adam drove a punch into his solar plexus. Male wheezed. Then Adam grabbed his leg, spun, and hurled him into the distance. Boom! Mountains collapsed. Adam followed. In mid-flight, he punched him again. Then again. Then again. Each hit resetting Male's momentum. By the fourth hit, Male had stopped fighting. By the fifth, he was limp. Adam grabbed him by the chest plate, pulled him close. "You're not the end of rules." He headbutted him. "You're not a god." Elbowed him. "You're not truth." Then slammed him into the ground one last time. The crater was massive. Dust and energy flew. Adam stood over him, breathing heavy, fists clenched. Male tried to sit up. Adam raised his arm, fist hovering above him. Please. Male coughed.
Adam paused.
Looked down, then let the fist fall, but stopped an inch from his face. Silence. You're not worth the last hit, Adam said, and turned his back. Behind him, the war had gone still. Aurora, Joshua, Alice, even Kaeldar. They watched him. The gods had fallen. The council was broken. Male lay beneath his own shadow, and Adam walked forward, fists still dripping with the blood of the divine. The wind was gone. The realm didn't breathe. The lock had broken, but the silence stayed. Male moved for the first time. Slow, deliberate, no weapons, just him. His aura spread again, reality hissing as it bent backward, rejecting presence, matter, divinity itself. No more sky, no more gods, just a broken battlefield and two beings that no longer needed introductions. Male struck first. His hand flashed through 6 quantum layers of space and hit Adam across the jaw with a blow that could fold a mountain range. Adam didn't stagger. His head turned. He cracked his neck with a low pop, then punched. Male blocked, but the moment his arms caught Adam's fist, bang! The air burst around them. The ground cratered deep and wide. Cracks ran from the center like veins in the skin of a dying world. Male snarled. His arm vibrated, muscles twisting. Adam stepped in. No technique, no flourish, just a raw hook to the ribs. Boom! Male flew backward, his feet dragging trenches in the ground. He stopped himself, coughed, and blinked away. He reappeared above Adam, dropping like a black meteor, both palms glowing with null energy. Adam didn't move. He lifted one fist and punched straight up. Crack. Male's descent stopped midair. His ribs folded like snapped branches. He coughed blood and flew backward again, skidding through ruins of stone and fractured divine bone. Adam moved this time, faster. He appeared behind Male before the god could land, grabbed his shoulder, and slammed him down. The world howled. Male barely twisted, hands slicing upward. He rewrote the law of motion. Adam should have been flung, but Adam stayed. Vocifery still echoed in his blood. He smiled. You think I'm bound to physics? Then a flurry. Left, right, left. Each punch crashed into Male like thunder made personal. His jaw cracked. His cheek split. One eye bruised shut. Male roared, his body flaring with absolute negation. He denied energy itself. The ground under Adam disappeared. The sky tried to unwrite. Adam stepped forward and punched Male again in the face. Crack. Male flew through a mountain. It collapsed behind him, reduced to ash. Adam followed. Inside the dust, they clashed again. Male screamed with every strike now, his fists glowing with anti-existence, each one erasing particles of time. Adam just took them and returned more. Fists met ribs. Fists met spine.
Fists met face.
Male's body began to fail. One leg twisted. One arm hung limp. He tried one final move. Erase. Adam grabbed his mouth and crushed it shut. No more. He lifted Male, one hand on the collar, and began punching. Not fast. Not flurried. Each one deliberate. One to the gut. Male folded. One to the chin. Male's head snapped. One to the chest. Male's divine core cracked. One to the temple. Male dropped to a knee. The world felt every hit. The gods watching. They knew. Male's body gave out. Collapsed. Shaking. Divine blood steaming in the cold air. Adam didn't speak. He just looked down. The god that tried to play endgame was now just broken. And then, one final hit. Adam raised his hand. His aura exploded gold, red, and black. No element, just will. He brought it down. Boom! Male cratered. The celestial plane went silent again. And Adam stood, victorious. Chapter 229, God. Celestial realm, after the fall. The throne still stood at the center of the ruined plain, untouched, huge, towering, wreathed in starlight and silence. The kind of silence that only came after war. Vale stood just below it, arms crossed, his cloak billowing slightly in the wind that had no source. He looked at the throne, then back at Adam and Joshua, who stood in the center of the shattered courtyard, ash and stardust beneath their boots. "So what are we going to do about this place?" Vale asked. Joshua glanced up at the empty throne, then back at him. "What do you want to do about it?" Vale didn't answer, but they could see it in his eyes. The thought, the possibility. This place was without gods now. The false ones had fallen. The true ones had been exposed and then broken. A world without gods was like a kingdom without a sky. It would crack eventually, and they knew what Vale was thinking. He wanted them to take it, to claim the throne, to become the new gods. Adam just sighed and stepped forward, pulling something from the folds of his coat. A small orb, glowing softly, light rippling inside like stilled ocean waves. He stared at it for a second, then crushed it in his hand. The light burst upward, soft, not violent. It bloomed like a memory. A sea of spectral figures appeared before him. His father, his mother, his grandparents, his people. They were smiling, and then they vanished, their souls freed, returning home, like they'd never left. "That's why I came here," Adam said quietly, wiping a tear he didn't realize had fallen. "Not for thrones, not for crowns, just this." He turned, ready to leave, but Vale stepped forward. "You're walking away?" he asked. Adam didn't stop. "Yes. There's no one left to guide this place. No order.
No gods.
You saw what happened when the wrong people sat on that throne. If you don't take it, someone else will." Joshua added, "He's not wrong. Power hates a vacuum. We tear down a system, but if we don't replace it, we're just waiting for another male." Adam stopped walking. Vale stepped closer. "You're already stronger than any god that ever sat here. You anchored reality with a word. You beat divinity with your fists. That throne won't make you God. It'll just give you the seat to fix what they ruined." Adam didn't answer. Joshua looked at him. "You say you don't have the strength for it, but it's not about strength anymore. It's about presence. And you already have it." Aurora walked up beside them, her voice calm. "They'll follow you, not because they have to, but because they believe in what you did, what you chose to do." Adam looked at them all, one by one. Joshua,
Vale.
Aurora, Alice, Wraith, Crozer. Even Kaeldar landed behind them, his massive dragon eyes watching quietly. They weren't just warriors. They weren't just allies. They were pieces of something new. "So what?
Adam muttered.
We just build a new heaven?
Vale smiled.
Why not? Let's build it right this time." Adam stepped forward again, this time toward the throne. The broken celestial plane groaned beneath him as he walked. The light above shifted. The stars returned. And the gods that once ruled? Nothing but dust. He reached the steps, stopped, and looked back. "But I'm not a god," he said.
No Joshua replied, Smirking.
"You're something worse. You're honest." Adam turned back around, climbed the steps, and as he sat, the realm pulsed, not in fear, not in obedience, but in calm. And far below, in countless worlds, mortals looked up at the sky, and something in their souls whispered, "The heavens have changed." Adam sat, and for a moment nothing happened, just the weight of silence, the wind brushing through the broken plain, the stars blinking back into place above like shy witnesses returning after exile. Then, a pulse, faint at first, like a second heartbeat beneath his own. Then it spread, from the throne, through the plain, through the sky, through every world connected to this one. The air around him shimmered, not with heat, but with change. And in his mind, quiet, sudden, absolute, ding, system interface, V. Infinity. Administrator access granted.
Veljome, Adam Derk.
Designation updated. God of the Omnicron throne. Divine position, King of all realms. Authority tier, absolute. You have ascended. Your existence has surpassed all natural laws. Status updated. Name, Adam Dark. Title, God of the Omnicron throne, Supreme Monarch of Chaos, Monarch Slayer. Bloodline, Omnicron Genesis bloodline, fully awakened. Race, Omnicron, true form deity. Existence tier, Infinity, true God tier. Power level, Multiversal plus. Unique abilities, Creation of all things, level 10/max. Destruction of all things, level 10/max. Abyssal Veil, evolves with will. Reality command new, speak and create new truths in all realms. Singularity will, new. Your presence alone rewrites the laws of nearby space. Skills, Vocifery, supreme anchor skill. Nigh immortality, omniscient instinct. Neural cybernetic technopathy, absolute loot. Supreme clone technique.
Aura amplifiée.
Omniversal recall Inu. Recall anything you've seen, known, or felt in any timeline or universe. Bloodline abilities. Origin link, bind or sever your will to all realms. Genesis fracture, shatter any truth. Reform any history. Causality rewrite new. Undo effects before they happen. Break cause. Control result. Racial traits. Reality drift, move through all versions of existence at once. Authority override, nullify all divine hierarchy. Nothing is above your command. Omnibeing core, you are now your own source. You cannot be drained, copied, sealed, or erased. Adam stared at it. The glowing panel floated quietly in front of his eyes, unreadable to anyone else. He didn't speak, just breathed out, long and slow. This wasn't some evolution. This was redefinition. The system wasn't calling him strong. It wasn't calling him divine. It was calling him centered, as in the core of everything now. He raised a hand slowly, looked at it, watched the aura ripple around it. Not fire, not energy, not anything visual. It was command. Existence shifted when he moved. He clenched his fingers. Reality bowed. He chuckled under his breath. What the hell am I now? Only the system answered. You are the one who decides what gods become next. He closed the panel with a blink, and it faded. He stood from the throne. Everyone turned as he did. Joshua, Vale, Aurora, Alice, even the dragon Kaeldar lowered his head slightly. No words, just that unspoken weight. He didn't have to announce what he'd become. The realm already knew. Chapter 230, Gods. Adam stood from the throne. His steps were slow, measured. The sky above him, once hollow, now stirred with light. Not the sharp blaze of lightning or divine flame, but the kind of light that followed creation itself. Soft, absolute. Everyone watched him, but no one spoke. He looked down at his hand, the glow of command still humming beneath his skin, then turned to the others, his people. Not subordinates, not worshippers, but brothers, sisters, survivors. I'm not doing this alone. Joshua blinked. What? Adam nodded to the massive platform surrounding the throne. 8 curved seats circled it like a sun wheel, cracked and empty since the fall. Each carved for a god, each waiting. You've all walked through fire to get here. You bled beside me, burned the heavens beside me, he said. So you're going to stand beside me, too. He pointed. Take your seats. The air trembled. A quiet wind blew through the broken plain as the thrones began to shift. Stone and light repairing, reshaping. They weren't relics of the old order anymore. These were for the new gods. Adam turned to Kaeldar, the dragon who had watched all of it without speaking. His scales reflected the sky. His eyes were moons. You carried the weight of the wilds, the monsters, the forgotten beasts. You never bowed. You protected your own. Adam raised a hand. A second throne bloomed behind Kaeldar. Massive, carved from bone and black stone. wrapped in vines and burning breath. You are now the god of beasts and monsters. Let their roars shake the stars again. Kaeldar bowed his head slowly, lowering himself onto the throne. As he did, a pulse ran through the realm. Distant forests, jungles, and lost ecosystems awakened. Creatures that had once been hunted stirred under the sky again. Then Adam looked up. Jordan.
Come.
A golden gate cracked open above the throne, and from it stepped Jordan. He didn't ask questions, just walked forward. Adam nodded once. You never gave up. You broke every limit they put on you. Always shifting, always surviving. The throne beside Kaeldar opened. A shifting form, always changing, moss, steel, bone, crystal. It never stayed one shape. You are the god of adaptation and evolution. The world will survive through you. Jordan exhaled, sat, and the earth cracked with life again. The oceans bubbled. The microbes danced. The system of nature shivered forward in time. Then, Aurora. She stepped forward without hesitation. Her silver hair rippled like a comet tail. Her eyes, already beyond mortal time, stared straight into Adam's. You saw every outcome, and still chose this one, Adam said quietly. You turned fate into a weapon. The next throne burst into light. A constellation wrapped around a single point. It glowed with prophecy and future. You are the goddess of prophecy, foresight, destiny, and causality. You don't predict the future anymore, Aurora. You define it. Aurora took her seat. Across the realms, timelines snapped. Alternate branches withered. Causal chains rebuilt themselves around her throne like orbiting moons. The past no longer ruled the future, Aurora did. Adam turned again. Alice. She smiled, slight, tired, but real. She had always been there. The still point between storms. You held the battlefield together when it was supposed to collapse. Locked space down like it was yours. He pointed. The fourth throne shimmered into view. Endless and quiet, wrapped in galaxies and bent geometry. You are the goddess of space. No boundary will ever hold us again. Alice sat, and the air around her folded in. The distances between stars shrank. Wormholes formed and closed like blinking eyes. Travel, movement, presence, all shifted in her name. Then came fire.
Alfred.
Step up. Alfred, who had always walked with fists burning and a temper hotter than stars, grinned. He nodded once at Adam, then cracked his knuckles. You burned gods, Adam said simply. You brought suns to their knees. Another throne lit, furnace red. A volcano wrapped in solar flare, breathing smoke and heat. You are the god of fire. Let your anger keep this world burning. Alfred threw his coat back and sat down, fire bursting up beneath his boots. Volcanoes rumbled in the distance. Dying stars flared back to life. Then, Arya. She came forward slow, soft, ice-blue hair catching the wind. You froze time to protect life. Your silence was never weakness, it was focus. Her throne shimmered into view, carved from glacial diamonds, storms of frost swirling beneath it. You are the goddess of ice. Preserve what we build. Arya sat, and every tundra, every winter-bound plain in every world sighed like it had found its queen again. Finally, Adam turned to the one who stood with him through the beginning. The first, the wildest, the most human. Joshua. Joshua didn't move. He just stared at Adam, a grin playing at the edge of his mouth. You weren't light. You weren't darkness. You were both, Adam said. You held the line, and crossed it when we needed you to. The last throne shimmered into view, twin-faced. One side ordered, geometric, glowing with grid light. The other side chaotic, fractured, wild with color and shape. You are the god of order and disorder. Let them learn balance from you. Joshua stepped forward, sat back with a grin, and kicked one leg over the side like he owned the place. The realm pulsed again. Now they were seated. All eight. The new pantheon. Adam turned slowly, walking back to the center, standing in front of them all. He looked at the sky, now full again. Stars in motion, realms circling, nothing missing. This isn't just about being gods, he said, voice calm. It's about setting the next age.
No lightning. No thunder. No earthquakes.
Just quiet, deep and sacred. Then he looked straight ahead at nothing, and smiled. Let the realms know. The throne is no longer empty. And far below, across endless worlds and dying stars and waking civilizations, millions looked up and felt it. The gods were no longer watching from afar. They had returned. And this time, they were human first. Chapter 231, Origin Pantheon. The wind had stilled. The light above the thrones didn't burn. It breathed. Soft waves of gold rippled through the air, as if the entire realm was exhaling for the first time in eons. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was sacred. Adam stood at the heart of it all, beneath the highest point of the sky, at the very axis of what reality called center. Then it came. A soft chime. A flicker of white light bloomed before his eyes, invisible to all others. System notification. Pantheon authority unlocked. As the seated god of the Omnicron throne, you now hold the right to form a pantheon, define divine roles, establish realm laws, bind cosmic order to will. Please name your pantheon. Awaiting input. Adam stared at the screen. Only he could see it. Only he could hear the low hum that came with every system message. Joshua was lounging in his throne now, flipping a small piece of astral metal between his fingers. Alfred was already flexing his fingers like he wanted to punch the sun again. Alice and Aurora sat calm, still as stars. The others were just starting to realize what they had become. But Adam? He looked down at his hand again. The same one that crushed gods, that raised cities, that once held nothing but anger and loss. Now it held creation. A name, huh? He muttered. He turned slightly, eyes drifting over each of them. The 8 who sat around him. His war-forged family. The ones who didn't rise from bloodlines or temples, but from pain, grit, and choice. They weren't just gods. They were origin points. The new start. His lips curved, slow and certain. Name it. Origin. The screen pulsed. Pantheon created. Origin. Primary deity. Adam, dark god of the Omnicron throne. Pantheon tier. Infinity. Pantheon alignment. Foundational neutral reconstructive. Pantheon authority. Supreme. Bound deities. Kaeldar, god of beasts and monsters. Jordan, god of adaptation and evolution. Aurora, goddess of prophecy, foresight, destiny, and causality. Alice, goddess of space. Arya, goddess of ice. Alfred, god of fire. Joshua, god of order and disorder. Pantheon law framework unlocked. You may now define divine mandates, anchor authority across realms, build divine legacies, rewrite divine mythos. Would you like to proceed? Y/N. Adam blinked the screen away for now. It faded quietly, like a breath leaving his chest. He turned toward the others. All of you, he said. 7 heads turned. This isn't just some title game. We're not here to be worshipped. We're not going to repeat their mistakes. He nodded toward the shattered statues far below, remnants of the old gods, the ones who ruled with fear, with rules that only benefited the top. We start different. From the beginning. Aurora sat straighter. What do you have in mind? Adam's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. We rebuild the system, not above mortals. Beside them, we create realms that don't trap souls or punish evolution. Joshua raised an eyebrow. So what, we just let everyone do what they want? No, Adam said. We give them the tools to rise, to fail, to try again. Free will, but with structure. Power, but with truth. He turned his eyes toward the horizon where the celestial plane touched the edges of all other realms. Mortal, spirit, arcana, demon, divine. We build a new ladder, he said. One no one gets to pull up once they've climbed it. Alice exhaled softly, then nodded. Then we'll need laws. Foundations. Checks.
Adam Simirket.
Already ahead of you. He waved his hand, and with it, a white strand of light extended from his palm and spread across the broken floor. It drew glowing runes across the ground in a wide circle around the thrones. They pulsed in sync with the stars above. This will be the circle of authority. Each god's throne lit up in turn, casting a beam to the center. A crystal formed above the intersection point, pulsing with threads of each god's power. From that crystal, a faint hum echoed, a heartbeat for the new divine system. No one god will be above the rest, Adam said. Even me. If I break the law we make here, I fall like any of you. Like the ones before us should have. Kaeldar lowered his head slowly. Then the cycle truly ends here. Yeah? Alfred muttered, flames dancing off his shoulders. About damn time. Aurora's gaze narrowed. And what about the ones who won't accept this new age? Adam looked at her, and for a brief moment, the glow in his eyes sharpened. Then we burn the old myths down. Joshua chuckled. Hell yeah. Adam nodded once, then stepped back onto the throne, but didn't sit. He raised one hand, fingers open to the sky, and through all realms the words echoed, not in sound but in the core of existence itself. We are the Origin Pantheon. We are not here to rule you. We are here to reset the sky. In every corner of the multiverse, witches stirring cauldrons looked up. Warriors paused mid-battle. Beasts lifted their heads in the wild. Children dreaming of stars opened their eyes with a gasp. Because the world had changed, and the first gods of the new era had taken their seats. Adam lowered his hand slowly. The light that followed his words faded into the sky like dust blown into stars. But he didn't sit yet. His throne pulsed behind him. Silent, patient. He wasn't done. Not yet. He exhaled and opened his palm again. From it, a thread of reality unfurled. Thin, white, breathing with potential. He reached forward and pulled it down, bending it into form. With each twist of his fingers, forms began to shape. Not gods, but something else. Instruments of will. Across the throne's wide floor, light bloomed. From nothing, figures began to rise. Some with wings of feathered silver, others with horns etched in stardust. Their bodies weren't uniform. Some gleamed like suns, others shimmered like moons dipped in shadow. But each one knelt. They didn't speak, didn't move. Adam looked at them and spoke simply. You were not born from war. You were created for balance, for protection, for choice. He raised his voice, not with volume but gravity. You are my messengers, my keepers. You are the guardians of what's to come. He waved his hand once more. The light split into two great lines, one silver, one deep violet. The angels gathered beneath the silver thread. The demons gathered beneath the violet. They weren't enemies. They were opposites, and opposites kept each other in check. He lowered his hand, and the threads locked into the circle of authority, binding the two new factions to the foundation of the Pantheon. Chapter 232. This world does not even feel right. William's estate, Garden of Dawn. The sun touched down gently over a quiet hilltop town wrapped in mist and dew. Past the picket fences and flower beds, the Williams estate stood calm and warm, its windows glowing like memories still in motion. The laughter started early. Alfred, put that down. Too late. The young boy launched a firecracker-shaped bottle rocket straight from the balcony. It whizzed past the laundry line, spiraling like a confused dragon before landing in the koi pond with a hiss. Oops, Alfred said, blinking. Their father, Raphael Williams, sighed from behind the porch swing, already reaching for the pond net. You're lucky the fish like you. I'm not lucky, Alfred grinned.
I'm awesome.
You're 8, Arya said flatly, arms crossed. She was already reading chapter books, already correcting her teachers, already talking like a tiny judge. Her silver hair was pinned back with a flower clip, her eyes calm like the lake at dawn. Freya stepped out, apron tied loosely, flour on her hands. If you're going to blow things up, at least warn the koi next time. Alfred gave her a thumbs up. I'll set a timer.
No timers, Arya muttered.
Come on. You know you love it when I make stuff explode. I like quiet. You like boring. I like not getting grounded. Raphael chuckled. She's got you there. From the corner window, a slightly older girl watched with a smirk. Alice, their cousin. Her boots were on the couch, her jacket slung over a chair, her headphones always around her neck like a crown of noise. If Alfred was chaos, she was the rebellion behind it. She didn't visit often, but when she did, things got weird. Hey freaks, she said through the screen. Want to see how I hotwired Dad's hoverbike? Freya shouted from the kitchen. No hot wiring today. Alice just laughed. And from the street below, riding up on a scooter with glasses fogged and a bag of science kits on his back. Joshua, nervous, too polite, always quoting facts no one asked for.
Estammarat.
I brought the lightning coil prototype.
Arya blinked.
You were serious? Absolutely. I recalibrated the conductor and Alfred grabbed the box before he could finish. Let's make it explode. Arya facebombed. Alice snorted. You're all idiots. But she was already moving to help. Age 12, rainy day trouble. It was a storm day. School canceled. Power flickering. Trees rattling outside. And inside the living room, one rebellion, one scientist, two chaotic siblings, and a very expensive sofa that now had paint all over it. Okay, how was I supposed to know the paintball gun wasn't empty? Alfred asked. You brought a loaded weapon into the house.
Arya snapped.
Joshua was hiding behind a pillow fort. I said we should test outside. Alice was taking photos. Oh yeah, she muttered. Mom's gonna love this. Gloria Williams, their aunt, walked in moments later and froze. Her friend, Alexandria, followed behind, sipping wine from a mug and looking like someone who'd seen this exact scenario 20 years ago. Guess what? Gloria said. We were gonna take you to the city for pizza. All four kids turned slowly. Were? Alice asked. Alexandria raised her mug. Too late now. Age 16 high school arc. The world moved on. Peaceful. Normal. Real. Alfred started taking after his dad. Training every morning, joining the student dueling league. Fire magic still sparked from his hands like reflexes. Arya, meanwhile, was in the top of her class. Always reading, always thinking, always 5 steps ahead. Alice started a band. 2 girls, 1 guy, and a floating speaker orb. Their music was sharp, angry, loud, and perfect. Joshua joined the robotics club, designed drones, tutored younger kids, still stammered, still smiled. They still fought, still snuck out, still covered for each other when teachers called. Alexandria would visit sometimes, now a literature professor at a nearby college. Sharp-tongued, forever tired, but oddly protective of the entire Chaos group, even if she called them goblins under her breath. I swear, she muttered one day. I turn around and someone's breaking gravity. Age 18, last summer together. The field behind the house had always been their meeting spot. Now it was where they gathered one last time before life split paths. Alfred got accepted into a combat academy overseas. Arya won a scholarship to a research institution under the Celestial Consortium. Alice? She got a record deal and was leaving with her band. Joshua got invited to intern at a tech company that studied elemental resonance. The campfire crackled.
No magic. No monsters.
Just stars. We should promise something, Joshua said. Like what? Alice asked, leaning on her elbow. No matter what happens, he said. We find each other again, every year. Same day, same hill. Arya looked at Alfred. He nodded. Deal. Adulthood, the reunion. Years passed. The Williams estate stayed the same. And one by one they came back. Alice, covered in tattoos. with a voice that could shatter glass and a heart full of fire. Joshua, still wearing lab coats, now taller, more confident, still hopeless with compliments. Arya, colder than before, sharper too. But when she saw Alfred, she hugged him like they were still 10.
Alfred smilet.
Strong now, calm, different, but still the same dumb grin. Their parents watched from the porch. And when night fell, they lit the old campfire again. There were no gods here.
No wars.
Just them. A family made of laughter, scars, and starlight. And far above them, the sky watched quietly, as if it too remembered the promise made on that hill. Elsewhere. Aurora. I know you don't mean what you just said. That's just a slip of the tongue. I said what I said, that I'm not and will not get married to Jack. He is an insufferable bastard. Aurora said to her father, who was glaring at her at the moment. You rethink your decision. I will be back for your answer, he said as he stormed out of the room, leaving Aurora as she sighed and looked at the outside sky. This world does not even feel right. Chapter 233, We Made It. Hilltop, night of the reunion. The fire crackled, soft and low, casting lazy shadows across their faces. The night was quiet, too quiet. Alice was tuning her old guitar. Arya had her eyes on the stars. Alfred was poking the fire with a stick like he was expecting it to fight back. Joshua sat a little apart. Glasses slid down his nose, fingers twitching around a half-burned notebook. He hadn't spoken in a while. Not like him. Alfred noticed first.
Yo, genius.
What's up? Joshua blinked. Huh? Nothing. Just thinking. That's dangerous, Alice said without looking up. Arya turned slightly. What kind of thinking? Joshua leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. Do you ever feel like we're just one version of us? They blinked. Like. He hesitated. What if there's another hill, another fire? But in that world we're not here. We didn't make it. Or we're someone else entirely.
Alfred chuckled.
Okay. Nerd levels rising. No, seriously, Joshua said, eyes flicking toward the stars again. It's the multiverse theory. Infinite variations of reality. Every choice, every chance, splits into another world. Alice looked up now, brows raised. Like, other versions of us? Yeah, Joshua said quietly. Worlds where you never joined the band. Where Arya never got her scholarship. Where Alfred never learned to use fire. Where maybe. He paused. Someone's missing. The silence sat a little heavier now. Arya's fingers curled around her mug.
Alfred frowned.
Where are you going with this? Joshua looked up at them. What if this piece, this life, what if it's the rare one? The lucky draw? And in most other worlds, we don't get this ending. What if we only got this because something or someone was removed? Alice leaned back, expression unreadable. You're talking like this is borrowed time. Joshua nodded. Maybe it is. Maybe something had to go wrong somewhere else for this world to go right. That's dark, Alfred muttered. Not really, Joshua said. It just means we were meant to remember, to be the reminder, that peace can exist, that there is a world where everything turns out okay. Arya stared at the flames. I believe that, she said softly. They looked at her. I don't know why, she continued. But sometimes, I get this weird dream. A place with thrones in the sky. Names I don't recognize. War. Gods. Blood. She paused. And then I wake up. And this place feels even more real. Like it's earned. Joshua smiled faintly. That's why we come back here, he said. Every year. To anchor ourselves. Even if somewhere else. Someone else is still fighting. Alice strummed a quiet chord. So what, you think we're echoes of some other world? Maybe, Joshua said. Or maybe we're the dream that world is chasing. No one spoke for a moment. Then Alfred stood up, stretched his arms, and looked at the sky. Well, if that's true, I hope the other me's not too uptight. Arya smirked. Or too dumb. Alice stood next. Or too soft. Joshua got up last. If there is another us, he said. I hope they find each other too. They nodded. And somewhere far away, in another plane, another life, an echo stirred. A whisper in the stars. Not gods. Not heroes. Just kids once. Still holding their promise. Some weeks later, Joshua's basement. The others moved on. Laughed. Lived. But Joshua couldn't let it go. He stared at the same stars every night. Notebook on his lap. Equations like spiderwebs crawling across the pages. He didn't sleep much anymore. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt something. Not a dream. Not a memory. A hum. Like his soul was hearing an echo from somewhere far. He wasn't sure when the theory turned into obsession. He just knew he had to prove it. And to do that, he needed parts. Rare ones. Forbidden ones. Stuff you couldn't just walk into a store and buy. So he went underground. Literally. Under Market, City Sublevel 9. The tunnels stank of smoke and solder. Neon lights flickered against rusted pipes. Vendors whispered through modified gas masks. People didn't ask questions here. They sold plasma batteries and stolen core shards like fruit at a market stand. Joshua adjusted his coat, pulled his hood lower. His glasses flickered with interface readouts. He scanned for what he needed: quantum conductor, rift regulator, reality harmonic stabilizer. He found the last piece tucked behind a curtain at a stall selling old celestial tech. That's a dangerous toy, the vendor grunted. You building a bomb? No, Joshua said, voice too calm. A door. He reached for the part when a shadow fell across him. I'd be careful with that, a voice said. He turned and froze. Aurora. Tall. Still. Eyes like galaxies buried under frost. She looked exactly the same as in his dreams. His legs almost gave out. Why you're? She raised a brow. I get that a lot. He swallowed. Aurora, right? I know you, she said, not answering. You're one of the Williams kids. Joshua. He blinked. How do you? I remember things I shouldn't, she said. Dreams I've never lived. Wars I never fought. But they feel real. She stepped closer, eyes narrowing. And I keep seeing you. Joshua's breath hitched. Why are you here? I could ask you the same. He hesitated, then pulled out his notebook, opened it. Equations, models, theories stacked on theories, star charts with marked points, alternate timelines. A multiverse? She asked quietly, scanning the pages. He nodded. I think we're not alone. Not just in the space kind of way. In the self kind of way. I think there are other versions of us out there. And I want to prove it. Aurora stared at him. Then she looked at the equipment in his arms. You're building something to cross realities. He nodded again. And you didn't tell the others? They wouldn't believe me. She exhaled slowly.
Ido.
His eyes widened. What? I don't know why, she said, stepping closer. But I believe you. And if you're serious. She reached for the rift regulator and handed it to him. Then I'm in. Joshua stared, then smiled. Okay, let's build a door. Later that night, Aurora's hidden workshop. The lab was quiet, far cleaner than Joshua's. Every tool was labeled, every panel carefully wired. The two of them stood over a half-assembled frame shaped like a massive ring, etched with symbols neither of them recognized but instinctively understood. Joshua worked fast, guided by instinct and math. Aurora fine-tuned the field layers with her hand glowing faintly, reality bending ever so slightly under her touch. They didn't speak much. They didn't have to. By morning, the ring pulsed. Not alive. Not yet. But close. Joshua stepped back, panting. Aurora tilted her head. You think it's stable? No, he admitted. But it's a start. She looked at the machine again, then at him. If you're right, she said. What are you going to do when you find the other versions of us? Joshua didn't answer right away. Then finally, softly, I'll tell them we made it. That piece is possible. Aurora nodded. Then let's make sure that door opens. Chapter 234. We did. Aurora's hidden workshop, the days that followed. The machine stood like a question mark in metal and light, half-formed, half-understood. A skeleton of wires and hope, cradled in silence beneath Aurora's hidden workshop. They worked in shifts. Hours passed like minutes, meals forgotten, sleep reduced to flickers behind blinking eyes. Joshua had sectioned the walls with formulas, each one stacked, folded, twisted like origami made of thought. Aurora had created containment layers, dimensional skins that would prevent the machine from collapsing the pocket space they worked in. Still, they failed. A lot. The first time they powered the core, it hummed, then screamed. One of the stabilizers cracked and turned to ash. Aurora raised her hand, froze the spatial collapse just before it reached the walls. "Okay," Joshua muttered, coughing through the smoke. "Maybe I overshot the frequency bias." "You think," Aurora said, dry as always. But she didn't stop. She never stopped. She would float midair for hours, eyes closed, sinking the harmonic plates. When she needed rest, she did it standing, like a sentinel, a ghost on watch. Joshua adjusted designs on the fly, rewrote equations mid-solda. He called it chaos-guided engineering. She called it dumb luck. But it worked just barely. Day 10, Breakthrough 1. The ring sparked to life. A pulse. Then another. Joshua gasped. "It's holding." The harmonic frames not rejecting the energy field. He ran around the console, throwing levers, adjusting dials. Aurora stood nearby, hands raised, maintaining the balance of layered time within the activation core. Then, a flicker. In the center of the ring, something blinked. Not light, not reflection. A window, a glimpse, a skyline that wasn't theirs. Towers of crystal. A moon split into thirds. A flash of something winged. Then it vanished. The entire ring shut down. Silence returned. They both stood there, breathing hard. Aurora lowered her hand. "That wasn't a projection." Joshua nodded slowly. "That was real." She stepped forward. Her fingers grazed the frame. They felt warmth and pressure, like the echo of another place had left fingerprints. "Mark it," she said. Joshua pulled out his notebook and jotted down everything. Every variable, every shift, every pulse timing, even the static hum it made before blinking out. They didn't celebrate. There was still too much to fix. Day 17, the collapse. The third test almost killed them. The portal opened too fast. The field didn't hold. Reality inside the ring folded inward. Joshua screamed as gravity turned sideways. Aurora grabbed him, anchored him with a spatial tether, and stabilized the frame with raw force. The machine exploded outward in a dome of golden light. Everything froze. Mid-collapse, Joshua floated, upside down, staring at her. "How are you doing that?" Aurora's skin glowed. Her hair floated. Her eyes were blank, white like glass. She exhaled. And then, the room snapped back into place. Gravity returned. So did the silence. Joshua collapsed, panting. Aurora dropped to her knees. "Okay," he coughed. "So maybe we don't use the Tier 4 converter again." She didn't answer, just laid back, eyes on the ceiling. "Think I tore something inside time," she muttered. Joshua chuckled weakly. "Add that to the list." Day 23, the surprise. It was late. Rain hit the outside barrier in soft taps. Joshua was asleep, slumped over his notebook. Aurora was awake, as always, recalibrating the phase dial. Then, she heard it. A pulse. Not from the ring. From Joshua's notes. She walked over. The notebook was glowing faintly, pages turning on their own, equations rearranging. No magic, no tech, just intention. A whisper from another Joshua somewhere else. Her eyes narrowed. "Joshua," she said, nudging him. "Ha-wah," he blinked. "Did I fall asleep?" She pointed at the notebook. They both stared. New formulas had appeared, not written by his hand. But they were right. Joshua paled. "It's me," he whispered. "But not me here." "Another version," Aurora said. one ahead of us. Helping. They looked at each other. For the first time, they felt something. Like the veil had thinned. Like the multiverse wasn't just theory anymore. It was reaching back. Day 28, final build. The workshop had changed. The walls now held cables like veins. The floor hummed softly. In the center stood the ring, completed, anchored by 8 pylons, each engraved with faint symbols. Joshua stood before the console, hands shaking. Aurora beside him, arms folded, silent. "Ready?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward and touched the side of the ring. The glyphs lit up. Blue, white, violet. The ring shivered. Then, brrrmmmmm. Tone filled the air. Low, steady, like a choir made from gravity. Light sparked within the ring's core, then expanded. It wasn't a portal. Not yet. But it was a membrane. A veil thinned to a thread. Joshua adjusted the controls. Fingers steady now. Frequency stable. Interdimensional field locked. Aurora nodded. Prepare for window. He pressed the last key. Flash. And there it was. A full gateway. Inside. A world bathed in red light. Dark towers. Floating islands. A figure. Faint. Distant. Turning toward them. It didn't feel hostile. Felt curious. Joshua stepped closer. Tears in his eyes. "I did it." Aurora placed a hand on his shoulder. "No," she said quietly. "We did." The machine pulsed once more, then stabilized. Their door was real now, built from theory, memory, instinct, and something deeper. Hope. They stood there, on the edge of infinite versions of themselves, and smiled. Temple of order and disorder, celestial plane. The wind inside the temple didn't blow. It echoed. Carved from living stone and astral metal, Joshua's temple rose like a memory born from belief. His new believers had built it across worlds, and somehow, their prayers stitched it into existence here, in the celestial plane. Place between realms, between truths. He stood at the center of it all. Eyes closed, breathing slow. His hand rested on the edge of the altar, etched with shifting runes that never stayed the same for more than a second. The energy here was calm, balanced, like time itself listened when he spoke. Then, a ripple. No sound, no light, just feeling. A pulse that came from everywhere at once. Joshua's brows tightened, his fingers curled. He opened his eyes slowly, amber irises glowing faintly with ordered chaos. That wasn't natural. He turned toward the open archway of the temple. The sky beyond shifted color like oil on water. Stars flickered. Some went out for a moment, just a moment. But it was enough. He stepped forward, gaze narrowing. Then he felt it. The fluctuation massive, raw, undeniable. Something had just moved. Not in space. Not in time. But across realities. Joshua raised a hand, and the air split slightly, like glass cracking under pressure. He stared into the distortion, eyes gleaming with code and storm. Who the hell just did something that massive it made the entire multiverse flinch? His voice wasn't loud, but it carried into the realm, carried into the stars. Because whatever had just happened, it wasn't small, it wasn't random, and it sure as hell wasn't done. Joshua stepped back, and the temple lit up around him. 1,000 runes spinning to life. Something was coming, and he was going to find out what. Chapter 235, Valor 2, Aurora's Hidden Workshop. The light within the gate twisted again. Not flared, not surged, twisted, like a breath held too long, like silence that forgot to end. Joshua took a step back. Aurora's fingers tensed beside the console. The ring's harmonic pulse wavered, still stable, but no longer calm. Something foreign was pressing through. Then, it stepped out. No sound, just presence. Darkness. A form of pure void, shaped like a man but not built like one. His body was matte, shapeless yet sharp, like every inch of him rejected definition.
No clothes.
No details. just shadow given weight. The kind of darkness that wasn't the absence of light. It was the reason light feared to exist. Joshua froze. Aurora's hands slowly lifted. But the being didn't move. It just stood inside the frame, watching. Then, took one step. The lights dimmed. The workshop's air temperature dropped. The being's head tilted slowly, like learning gravity for the first time. When it finally spoke, the voice didn't echo. It settled. Deep, hollow, cold like a bell toll at the end of a funeral. Joshua. Joshua's eyes widened. Why you know me? I built you a path. Aurora moved forward, her tone steady. You came through our machine. Yes. You used us. Yes. Joshua's fists clenched. Why? The being blinked, if one could call that motion blinking. His face changed. Slowly. Shadows compressed, and from nothing, a form began to shape, hair dark as sleep, eyes black like oil. Adam's face. But wrong. Smoother. Too symmetrical. A shadow's version of a man. My name, he said, is Valor. Joshua took a half step forward. What are you? Valor's voice stayed still. I am the unmaking, the correction, the silence. He stepped fully into the room. The portal flickered behind him, then dimmed to a soft ripple. I was born when Adam Dark was born. A thing that should not be. Chaos given shape. A breach in balance. He cracked the cycle. Joshua blinked. Who? Adam, Aurora said softly. That name. It feels unwritten, Valor answered. Because he was never meant to exist in your world. He was sealed, stripped, buried behind layers of peace. He looked at them both. And you, shadows of that light. The afterglow of something burned away. Joshua frowned. You're not making sense. We made the machine to prove the multiverse exists. You hijacked that. You manipulated us. I guided you. Aurora stepped forward. Why? Why lead us here? Why send the dreams? Valor's voice lowered. Because I needed a door. If I crossed the veil through force, Adam would see. And then, I would fail. You couldn't cross without us.
No.
So you made us build the door ourselves. Yes. Joshua shook his head. You lied. I calculated. The portal hummed behind them. The frame now responding to Valor's presence. Not rejecting. Accepting. Like it remembered him. Aurora stepped between them. What do you want now? Completion. Joshua raised an eyebrow. Completion. Valor turned to him. I am not here to destroy. I am here to restore. He looked at Aurora. You are anomalies. Echoes preserved by fracture. You are not meant to exist like this. You are reminders of something broken. Joshua narrowed his eyes. You think we're leftovers? From Adam. You are shadows of them all. I need you to return. Return where? Valor tilted his head. To me. Joshua stepped back. Aurora flared her aura slightly. You want to consume us, she said. No, Valor answered. I want to silence the ripple. Anomalies spread. Every year your dreams grow louder. Every memory buried comes back in fragments. Soon your reality will destabilize. Joshua clenched his teeth. And you think the fix is to erase us?
No.
To reintegrate you. He walked slowly, like a shadow drifting through light. You, Alice, Arya, Alfred, Alexandria, Aurora. His eyes met Joshua's last. You are not alone in this world. And yet, you were all born into peace without a price. That is unnatural. That is a lie. Aurora's fists tightened. You want to unmake us. Valor said nothing, but he didn't deny it. Joshua's breath was shaky. Why now? Why not earlier? Because the moment you opened the gate, the veil thinned. The lie trembled. You made the choice to seek the truth. I simply arrived at its edge. Joshua stared at him. You think you're fixing something. I am. By ending us. By ending the lie. Aurora moved. Between Valor and Joshua now, completely. Her aura expanded slightly, the lines of reality bowing at the edges. "You're not taking him," she said flatly. "I will," Valor replied. "In time, when he understands." Joshua grabbed her arm. "Aurora, shut up," she whispered. "He's not taking anyone." Valor's form flickered again, back to that formless black, shifting, endless. He stared at them for a moment longer. "You were meant to be nothing," he said, voice almost sad. "But you dreamed too loud." He turned to the portal. "This door will remain. I will return, with or without your choice." He stepped toward it, then paused, turned back. His form flickered, becoming Adam again, just long enough for Joshua to see the resemblance, and the pain it carried. "You will remember him soon," he said, and then he walked through the light. Gone. The room fell silent. Joshua stared. Aurora slowly relaxed her stance, but her hands were still trembling. He sat down on the floor, too numb to speak. Aurora stood beside him. Neither said a word for a while. The portal faded to a soft shimmer. No sound. No more steps. Just the machine humming, like it hadn't just become a doorway for something not meant to exist. Joshua still sat there, staring blankly. The machine he'd dreamed of, designed, suffered for, had worked. Too well. Aurora stood beside him, unmoving. Her eyes hadn't left the ring. Then slowly, she turned. Walked. Her boots made no noise on the metal floor, but something in the air shifted with every step she took. Like the room knew. Joshua blinked. "Aurora!" She didn't answer. He watched as she crossed the room, headed toward the supply cabinet near the back. She reached inside, pulled something out. A black case. She placed it on the workbench, opened it. Inside, a compressed orb of violet energy sealed in a magnetic shell. Failsafe. Joshua scrambled up. "Hey, wait, what are you doing?" Aurora didn't look at him. Her voice was low, sharp. "I'm destroying it." Joshua froze. "What?" She turned, finally, eyes glowing faintly. "This machine can't stay. Not now. Not after that." "You're talking about the machine we built. Together."
No, Joshua.
"I'm talking about the door he walked through." Her voice cracked at the end, just slightly. Joshua stepped closer, shaking his head. "You said we were close. You said we were on the edge of something real." "I know what I said," she snapped, then looked away. "But I didn't know he was waiting behind it." He stared at her, then at the portal ring. "It wasn't the machine's fault. It doesn't matter. He used us. This workshop. Our minds. This machine is a signal flare. If we keep it open, we're just calling him back." She picked up the orb. His hum began to rise. Joshua moved fast, grabbed her wrist. "Aurora, please." Her eyes locked with his, and for a moment, something wavered. Not her power, not her stance, her heart. He saw it. The fear she never showed, the weight in her silence, the memories she didn't know but felt anyway. "Don't destroy what we made," Joshua whispered. "It's not just a machine. It's proof. It's truth." Aurora's hand trembled slightly, but she didn't let go. "We were never supposed to build it. Maybe we were," he said gently now. "But even if we weren't, we did." Aurora turned her gaze to the ring. The light still shimmered faintly in its core. Not open, not closed, just waiting. "Joshua," she whispered. "He said we'd remember Adam soon. That means something's coming. Something we can't stop." Joshua took a breath. "Then destroying the machine won't stop it either." Silence. The orb in her hand pulsed once. A flicker of violet lighting up her face. Then she lowered it. Gently, placed it back in the case. She stood still for a moment, then closed the lid. "Fine." Joshua let out a breath. "I'm not saying we ignore it," he said. "But we can't run from it either." Aurora looked at him. Not cold, not glowing, just tired. "Then what do we do?" He looked at the machine again, at the faint shimmer of the dimensional veil inside. "We prepare." She folded her arms. For what? His voice was quiet. For the day we remember who Adam is. The machine hummed again. No longer a question. Just a promise. Chapter 236. I'm serious.
Celestial plana, moments late.
The temple faded behind him. Joshua walked forward, coat brushing lightly against his ankles as stardust curled at his feet. The celestial plane wasn't made of ground, it was made of presence. Each step he took left no mark, but something still shifted under him. Like even this realm respected his movement. He kept his hands behind his back, calm, focused, but his eyes, they scanned everything. The sky above churned without wind. Planets moved out of sync. Stars blinked in odd rhythms. The colors in the distance, too many, too wrong. Fuchsia bleeding into midnight, bleeding into silence. The multiverse had flinched, and Joshua was trying to find where it bled. He moved past constellations frozen mid-birth, stepped over floating runes the size of cities. The deeper he went, the heavier the air felt. Not with gravity, with consequence. That feeling, like something massive had just breathed in a place where breath shouldn't exist. Still warm, he muttered to himself, kneeling near a rippling distortion. It looked like a wrinkle in the air, folding and unfolding without rhythm. His fingers hovered over it. Whatever happened, happened here. But there were no signs of damage, no residue of magic, no echoes of divine interference. Just pressure. A massive pressure that didn't belong. Joshua stood and looked around. Endless. Endless sky. Endless silence. Endless stars. But he knew better. Something had moved through here. Something not from here. Not divine. Not chaotic. Not even cursed. Just wrong. He pressed his palm gently into the air, dragging it like chalk across an invisible wall. Runes tried to form but broke apart mid-sequence. Even the plane doesn't know what touched it, he said quietly. A chill ran through him. He had faced gods, monsters, even his own reflections. But this was something else. The kind of event that ripples backward. The kind that didn't announce itself with thunder or screams, but left everything just slightly off. He turned slowly, trying to triangulate where the pressure faded. Every direction was empty, but one of them felt emptier than the rest. He followed it, through nebula bridges, past ancient god statues carved into dead suns, deeper, until he reached a point where even the stars refused to exist. No wind.
No pulse.
Just pure blank. He hovered there, eyes glowing faintly. "Where are you?" he whispered. No answer. Not even an echo. Only that feeling again. The kind that lived in the corners of perception. The kind that didn't want to be found. He clenched his fists, closed his eyes, tried to remember the pulse, not just feel it, not just chase it, remember it like a name. But it slipped away again, like a dream fading after waking. "You're hiding," Joshua murmured. "Or you're watching." He opened his eyes, then looked up. Nothing. But his gut twisted anyway. Whatever it was, it didn't want to be seen yet. And maybe it never did. Joshua slowly turned around and began walking back. Back toward the temple. Back toward the questions. He hadn't found what caused the disturbance. But now it knew he was looking. And next time, it might not be quiet. Modern Earth, a private island, somewhere in the multiverse. The sun hung lazy in the sky. Waves crashed gently on the shore. A breeze rolled in off the ocean, warm, soft, perfect. Under the shade of a large parasol, Adam lay on a reclining beach chair, shirt unbuttoned, sunglasses on, drink in hand. He looked like a man on vacation. He was a god. And just above him, arms crossed, long coat fluttering despite no wind, stood Aurora. Her expression was unreadable, but her tone carried that familiar sting. "You know you're a god now, right?" she said, tilting her head. "Maybe start acting like it." Adam glanced up at her over his sunglasses. "And what does that mean exactly?" he said, voice low and smooth. "Sit on some giant throne floating in the void? Dress in white robes and grow a beard? Aurora didn't blink. That wouldn't kill you. Adam took a slow sip from his glass. No, but it would bore me to death. He sat up slightly, one arm resting on the chair's edge, golden tattoo lines glowing faintly across his chest like living circuits. Look, I can hear the prayers just fine from here, he said casually, tapping the side of his head. I answer them when they matter, fix things when they break too far. But I'm not about to spend centuries parked on some floating rock pretending I'm too divine to blink. Aurora sighed. You're still ridiculous. And you're still too serious, he grinned. We balance each other out. She walked forward, boots crunching into the soft sand as she stopped right beside him. You realize this world isn't a fantasy realm, right? It's modern. They don't expect gods to show up with wings and halos anymore. They expect results. Fix the climate. Stop wars. Heal the sick. Not tan under the sun with your buttons open. Adam stretched lazily. That's the thing. I have been fixing things. Quietly. Without making a scene. CEOs don't mysteriously die from heart attacks for no reason. Politicians don't suddenly confess their crimes live on air because they feel guilty. He smiled. Little nudges. Barely a touch. But it's working. Aurora studied him for a moment, then sat beside him. You're not what I expected, she muttered. Adam raised a brow. I'm better. You're Messier. Same thing. They both sat there in silence for a moment. The waves rolled in again. Somewhere, a seagull screamed in the distance. The moment felt oddly normal, just two people. Then Aurora spoke again. You're not planning on hiding out here forever, are you? Adam shook his head. Nah, just for now. Just long enough for the noise to settle. When it does, I'll go back. Fix what needs fixing. Erase what needs erasing. Aurora turned toward him. And the multiverse? He smiled. Not playfully this time. Just calm. Certain. I'm watching it. Carefully. Like I said, being a god has perks. He snapped a projection lit up in the air above his palm. Dozens of worlds layered like glass panes, orbiting each other slowly. Lives blinking, systems humming, lights dimming and reigniting. Adam stared at it for a second. Then he closed his hand. The projection vanished. I'm not a ruler, he said quietly. I'm just the firewall. Aurora leaned back, finally letting the ocean wind tug at her coat. Fine, she said. But if this world goes up in flames while you're out here drinking cocktails, I'm dragging you off this chair myself. Adam raised his glass. Deal. She paused. I'm serious. So am I, he said, toasting toward the horizon. But come on. If I can't take a break after becoming God, then what's the point? Aurora rolled her eyes. And for the first time in a while, she smiled. Chapter 237. New Covenant Cathedral. In the beginning, they say there was once a void. Not darkness, not chaos, just absence. No stars, no laws, no shape to reality. And then he spoke. A whisper that wasn't made of sound. A will that didn't come from any god. A breath that became everything. And that breath had a name. Adam. He didn't come from the void. He wasn't born from it. He ended it. He was first, before time, before space, before even the meaning of those things. From his thoughts came gravity. From his heart came flame. From his hands came soul. He was the one who shattered the silence and gave shape to the multiverse. He didn't ask for worship. He didn't demand it. But creation remembered. And so began the doctrine of the Omnicron flame. New Covenant Cathedral Morning Service. Sector 21. Reconstructed city of Urolith. The stained glass windows shimmered with moving images. They didn't show saints. They showed memories. Adam standing at the edge of a dying star. Adam shielding a city from falling space. Adam alone, tearing a god apart with his bare hands. Each image glowed faintly with captured essence, infused into the glass with spells so old they were no longer legal. The pews were full. Dozens of people sat, young and old, all facing the altar. A minister stood at the podium, robes black and silver, his voice calm, low, steady, like the tide. He wasn't a performer. He was a reminder. "Let us return to the verse of awakening," he said, flipping to a page in the sacred tome. His hand hovered over the gold-lined scripture. The lights above flickered in reverence. When Adam first laid his feet upon the silent world, there was no shape, no breath, no song. He did not create it to be praised. He created it to be free. Some of the crowd whispered it with him. The minister looked up. His eyes scanned the crowd. "Do you know what that means, children of flame?" Silence. Then he answered himself. "It means choice was born before kings, before angels, before gods. Choice came from the first one who walked alone." He raised a hand and pointed toward the tallest stained glass image. Adam surrounded by beings of light and shadow, all kneeling before him. But power does not make him divine. His restraint does. His silence. His rejection of the thrones he crushed. The worlds he could have ruled. The people watched, unmoving, listening. A child near the front whispered to her mother, "Is he really still alive?" The minister heard. He smiled softly. "My dear," he said, kneeling a little. "He's more than alive." He stood again, turning to the full crowd. "He walks the threads of the multiverse. He sees what the gods ignore. He fixes the cracks we cannot see. And he does it without being asked." The minister paused. His tone dropped, like thunder under velvet. "That is not mercy. That is will." The room held its breath. He stepped forward again. "Remember, he did not come with thunder. He came with silence. He did not demand temples. He watched as they were built. He never called himself savior. But when the world burned, he stepped through the flames." He turned, raising his hand toward a circular device behind the altar. With a low hum, it flickered to life, projecting a 3D image above the pulpit. Footage. Real. From the earliest breach incident during the Rift Tier. In it, Adam stood before a collapsing city. Debris everywhere. Beasts of chaos flooding the streets.
Humans screaming.
Supernaturals torn in half. And then, he walked in. No armor. No army. Just him. He looked up at the monster swallowing the sky. Then he raised a hand. And erased it. Not with light. Not with magic. He simply spoke. The beast unraveled like string pulled from a wound. The sky closed. The city went silent. And Adam just walked away. Back in the cathedral, the footage ended. The minister let the silence hang. Then he said, "There are forces that wear crowns, that shout their power, that flash their divinity like ornaments. But Adam doesn't need to." A woman in the third row raised her hand, nervous, shaking. "Why doesn't he speak to us?" The minister nodded slowly, like he had heard that question 1,000 times. "He speaks," he said softly, "just not with words. The healed know it. The spared feel it. Those who tried to take his throne." He looked down for a moment. "They're no longer here to speak at all." He turned to the scripture again. A different page now. "The flame does not burn to be feared. It burns to warn. Those who listen are spared. Those who test it are reminded." He closed the book with a soft thump, then stepped away from the podium. Today we do not kneel because he demands it. We kneel to remember what walks with us unseen. He looked out again. And when he returns, because one day it will not be with trumpets or a choir. It will be quiet. The kind of quiet that comes before storms. A heavy pause. Until then, we remain watchful. We remain just. We remain free. He stepped down. The choir stood. But they didn't sing a song. They chanted. Soft. Rhythmic. Like waves. From flame we rise. From flame we fall. In his shadow we burn. And in his will we breathe. A beach somewhere else. Adam stood near the edge of the water now. The sun was lower. The sky slowly bleeding into amber. He had heard it. The sermon. The chant. Not with ears. With something deeper. He closed his eyes. The breeze pulled gently at his coat. His feet buried into the warm sand. Alfred has played another stunt again. When did I do all those things? Chapter 238. The Age of Superhero. Unknown Earth, year 2126. In this world, the Age of Miracles didn't begin with gods. It began with a fall. Not from the sky, from orbit. The first was a shard, metallic, black, humming with strange resonance. It crashed into the Nevada desert at 3:42 a.m., August 17, 2089. No one knew what it was, not even now, but the fallout changed everything. Radiation that wasn't radiation. Energy that didn't register on any scale. They called it spectra. One pulse swept across the globe. Most people didn't feel a thing, but a few changed. They called it resonance syndrome at first. But it was more than a syndrome. It rewrote you. Not immediately. Slowly. Over days. Months. Sometimes years. And when it did, they weren't normal anymore. They were called resonance. First, it was chaos. People developed powers that didn't make sense. A girl in Brazil could phase through glass but not metal. A man in Nigeria could shape dust into blades, but only when angry. A teenager in Germany could amplify pain by looking into your eyes. Nothing followed a rulebook. It took years before they classified it. The world had changed. Governments fell behind. Corporations filled the gap. Some tried to regulate. Others tried to own. But in the middle of it all, one group rose above the noise. The Vault. The Vault was the first superhero group. Official. Sanctioned. Respected. And most importantly, watched. Created by the World Accord Committee in 2102, they had a single mission. Maintain the balance. They weren't perfect, but they kept the world from tearing itself apart. Members of the Vault weren't gods, just people with abilities. Each trained like elite soldiers. Some had years of combat. Others were still learning. But together they worked. The current lineup: Solar Warden, Elias Knox, team leader. His body stores sunlight like a battery and discharges it as plasma. Can fly short bursts. Can overheat if he pushes too far. Cairo moves with slowed time perception. Not actual time control, just enhanced neurology. His brain operates 300x faster than a normal human when focused. Gravemaid, Lucia Vale, can increase or decrease local gravity in a 2-meter radius. Uses it to create crushing zones or leap impossible distances. Arcfall, Toma Yuan, generates electric currents through muscle movement. Needs to stay moving to charge. Slows down and he becomes normal. Red Lace, unknown origin. Moves between shadows. Can't travel through light. Believed to be ex-assassin. They were called heroes by most. Tools by others. But not everyone believed in the Vault. Not everyone believed in order. From the ashes of the first wave of chaos came those who embraced the disorder. The ones who believed resonance was evolution, not an accident. They rejected governments. Rejected peace. They called themselves the Fracture. An ideology, not just a villain group. To them, resonance were the future. The old world had to die. Fracture cells operated in shadows, cities, wastelands, anywhere they could spark chaos. Their goal was simple: break the illusion of control. Each Fracture unit was built like a small cult. Every cell had a herald, a figure of fear and vision. The most infamous? Nullbreed. His face was never seen. Always in armor. Always in black. But his words spread faster than fire. He believed the resonant gene was divine proof of selection. He preached that the Vault and the government were suppressing the next step of human evolution. And people listened. Whole districts in old countries fell to his cause. Nullbreed wasn't a tyrant. He was patient. He let the Vault chase false leads. He let chaos grow like cancer. His power? Unknown. Rumors say he can absorb powers from other resonants temporarily. Others say he's just a figurehead, an idea given flesh. But one truth remains. Every Vault member who's ever fought him directly never came back. The world's state. Borders still exist. But they're fragile. Cities are the new kingdoms. Some ruled by local governments. Others ruled by vault-enforced peace. Others are autonomous sectors, gray zones where fracture thrives. Technology evolved fast. Resonant-related tech led to limiter bands, power stabilizers, and scan gates, all designed to keep abilities contained. But nothing is perfect. You can't scan for intention. The worst villains are the ones that never show power at all. Resonants are categorized by 3 metrics. Flux control, F, how well they control their abilities. Zone impact, Z, how far their powers can affect space. Threat intent, T, how likely they are to use them with lethal force. Someone like Gravemaid is F7, Z6, T2. Someone like Nullbreed? Unrated. The strongest superhero? Depends on who you ask. Some say Solar Warden because he's saved more lives than anyone else. Some say Cairo because no one can catch him. But those who've seen the hidden reports? They whisper another name. Naira. She's not part of the vault. Not registered. Not political. She lives in Sector 6, Old Tokyo Zone. Her power? Unknown. She's saved vault members. Fracture units. Civilians. Doesn't talk. Doesn't stay. Only appears when the system starts to collapse. And when she moves, reality bends. Not powerfully. Not loudly. Just precisely. She doesn't have flashy attacks. She just walks into danger and danger ends. The strongest villain? Still Nullbreed. Not because of strength. Because of belief. He doesn't want power. He wants collapse. He once told a vault negotiator, "When the old world shatters, the new ones walk from the cracks. I am just the hammer." Why do people get powers? Still not fully known. But every resonant shares one common trait. Exposure to spectra pulse. Some were near the first shard. Others born from parents who were. Some researchers believe the pulses are still coming. That the spectra isn't a one-time event. That something still drifts in the void beyond the sky. Watching. Seeding. Not aliens. Not gods. Just something. Superheroes. They're not all beloved. The vault has critics. Fracture has supporters. Cities run anti-resonant campaigns. Others worship them. Some churches see resonants as divine messengers. Others call them demons in human skin. The world is tense. Always on edge. Because anyone can awaken. One moment you're a kid in a market. Next, your skin becomes steel, and you crush the street you were walking on. And yet, some still wear the suit. Some still fly when they know they could fall. Some still run into burning buildings, even when the world spits on them. Because the world might be broken. But someone's got to hold the pieces. Chapter 239, Creation and Destruction of All Things. Hero Registration Center, Downtown Sector 12. The line was long. Always was. Ever since the Hero Regulation Act kicked in, every wannabe, side-powered wanderer or fame chaser came crawling here to slap on a title and call themselves saviors. The receptionist didn't even look up at first. Just clicked through the forms on her screen. "You're here to register as a hero, right?" The guy in front of her didn't answer immediately. She looked up, annoyed. He was tall. Too tall. Messy black hair that looked like it styled itself. Sharp jaw. Lazy posture. And that grin. That stupid, perfect grin. He leaned forward just a bit. "Yep," he said, voice smooth. "I've got some abilities. Thought I'd use them for good, you know?" She forced a smile. How noble. He didn't flinch. Just kept smiling like he had all the time in the world. She tapped her screen harder than necessary. "Name?"
Adam.
"Last name?" He shrugged. "Just Adam." She raised an eyebrow.
No aliases.
He looked thoughtful. "Not yet. Was hoping to earn one." Of course you were, she thought. Another idiot thinking this was a game. That having powers meant fame, fans, and a cool jacket. That saving people made you a god. She finished the form, shoved a tablet toward him. "Scan your ID. You'll be assigned to an assessor. Room 14B. He took the device, scanned, and gave a little two-finger salute. "Thanks, miss." "Next," she called, already done with him. As he walked away, she muttered under her breath. Another fool. She had no idea. No clue who she just sent down that hallway. No idea that the man with the grin could unmake this world with a flick of his wrist. That he could bend reality sideways if he wanted to. That the air around him was still holding its breath, waiting for him to care. But he didn't. He wasn't here to destroy. Not today. He was just bored. And worse, he was curious. Room 14B Hero Aptitude Testing Zone. Adam stepped inside. The room was sleek, white walls, flat monitors, floor sensors. 3 proctors waited behind reinforced glass. One of them tapped a comm. Subject Adam. No last name. No power history. No prior record. No known origin. Beginning baseline test. Please stand in the red circle, a speaker called out. Adam did. Now raise your hand and... He raised it before they finished. The lights flickered. A low hum filled the room. Instruments spiked for half a second. The proctors stared at the readouts. What the hell? All readings are flatlined. That's impossible. Another proctor whispered. Did the machine shut down?
Adam blinked.
Oops. The lights snapped back. Systems rebooted. He lowered. The lights snapped back. Systems rebooted. Adam lowered his hand, acting like he didn't just knock the whole room into a short coma. The proctors didn't say anything. They just stared. One of them slowly reached for a drawer, pulled out a black card with silver lining. The kind reserved for outliers, high-risk or unclassifiable cases, and slid it under the bottom door. The speaker crackled. Proceed to the next chamber. You've been assigned a provisional tier. Adam bent down, picked up the card, and gave a little smirk. Tiered already? I didn't even break a sweat. He walked out. The moment the door sealed behind him, one of the proctors hit the emergency line. We've got a problem. Room 15C, Ability Declaration Chamber. This one looked different. No tech walls.
No flashy monitors.
Just a single table, a chair on each side, and an older man sitting with a tablet in front of him. His suit was plain, but his eyes were sharp. Adam walked in and tossed the card on the table. The man didn't even blink. Adam, no last name, no records, no history, 0 background, no energy signature, he said flatly. You're either hiding something or everything. Adam pulled out the chair and flopped into it, legs stretched out. Depends on what you're hoping I'm hiding, he said. The man didn't react. He tapped once on the screen. State your ability. Adam tilted his head. You sure? It's standard protocol, right? Adam sat up slightly, hands together. Creation and destruction. The man frowned. Of what? Adam's smile deepened. All things. A pause. The air in the room stilled, like it had leaned in to listen. The man blinked. All things. Adam nodded. Yep. You mean objects? Matter manipulation? Like. I mean, if I think it, I can make it. If I don't want it anymore. He snapped his fingers. The small metal pen on the desk vanished into thin air. It stops existing. The man slowly lowered his tablet. You understand how insane that sounds? I do. And you're saying it like you're ordering lunch. Adam leaned forward. Because that's how it feels. A beat of silence passed between them. Do you know what that means? The man finally asked. I know what it could mean, Adam said. Which is why I'm here. I'm trying to keep it tame. See the world. Try the hero thing. Maybe punch a villain or two. You want to be a hero with powers like that? No, Adam said, eyes glinting. I want to pretend to be one. The man gripped his tablet tighter. You're not from here, are you? Adam didn't answer. The door behind him slid open. The voice on the intercom came through again. Assessment complete. Subject classified as Black Class Candidate. Recommendation. Immediate observation. Adam stood, brushing off invisible dust. Observation, huh? Cute. He started walking, then paused at the door. By the way, he said over his shoulder, I like this world. Feels soft. The man swallowed. But there's something wrong. Like someone else is writing the ending. Adam turned slightly, eyes narrowed. And with that, he left the room. Elsewhere, Surveillance Tower HQ Hero Authority. 10 monitors. 10 blinking alerts. All from one name. Adam. A woman in a red blazer stood over the main console, arms folded. "Where the hell did he come from?" she asked. One of the agents stammered. "No ID. No energy traces. No social trail. It's like he just appeared." "Has he joined a team yet?" "No, ma'am. Still unaffiliated." "Send a scout. Quietly. I want to know where he sleeps, what he eats, and if he breathes like the rest of us." "Yes, ma'am." The woman turned away, muttering to herself. Creation and destruction of all things. If that's even halfway true, we've got a god walking through our front door with a registration card. Her voice dropped into a whisper. "And he's bored." City roof that night. Adam sat on the edge of a skyscraper, legs swinging lazily over the city lights. A burger in one hand, soda in the other. Behind him, a small drone hovered quietly, watching. He didn't look. Didn't need to. He already knew it was there. "So," he said, mouth half full, "you gonna watch me eat or do something about it?" The drone froze, then beeped and flew away. Adam chuckled. Smart choice. He looked out at the city again. Down below, heroes in armor zipped through the sky. Capes fluttered. Powers flashed. Civilians cheered. "Cute system," he murmured. "Shiny rules. Flashy uniforms." But his eyes were distant, like he was staring past it all. Past this world. Toward the walls of something bigger. Something wrong. Who's pulling the strings? Chapter 240, Null. 2 weeks later. Somewhere beneath Old District 9. The steel door hissed open with a deep clunk. Smooth lights rippled on overhead strips like breathing veins. Everything about the base was clean, unnaturally clean. Polished chrome. Black glass walls. Screens lined the main chamber like a silent orchestra, pulsing with feeds from across the city. Adam stood at the center of it all. No longer in plain clothes. Now he wore a suit. Sleek black with subtle silver trims that shimmered only when light hit at the right angle. A high collar. Fingerless gloves. A minimalist symbol etched across the chest. A broken circle, with a single line crossing through its center. Not too flashy, but distinct enough to be remembered. A voice spoke behind him. "All systems active, sir." He turned. It wasn't AI. It was a man. Well, something like one. His skin was pale. Eyes gray like old glass. Movements smooth, precise, not stiff, just deliberate. Like everything he did had already been calculated. "Thank you, Rook," Adam said casually. The humanoid bowed his head slightly. Adam walked past him, boots clicking against the titanium floor. As he entered the next chamber, more of them turned to face him. 5 total. Each one looked human. Each one had a name. Rook, Slate, Ivy, Vance, Kilo. Each one was handcrafted by Adam from raw matter, sculpted from his will. They weren't just machines. They weren't clones either. They were something else. Something in between. They didn't need to eat. They didn't age. They didn't question. But they weren't mindless. They learned. They adapted. And more than anything, they served. As his eyes, his ears, and when needed, his fists. "You finished the surveillance map?" Adam asked. Slate stepped forward, projecting a floating 3D image of the city between them. "Yes, sir. All hero organizations are marked. So are villain hotspots. Underground activity is most concentrated in sectors 3, 7, and 12. Adam smirked. "Of course. The shiny ones like to leave Sector 12 alone." "Too messy," Ivy chimed in. "Not enough camera ops." He chuckled. "Then maybe that's where we begin." "Begin what, sir?" Vance asked. Adam turned away, heading toward the inner lift. "My debut. Surface, later that night, Sector 12. It was the kind of place even trash didn't like to stay in. Busted neon signs. Smoky alleyways. The scent of old oil, metal, and fried despair. Screams echoed down an alley. Two men ran. They wore cheap body armor, powered by stolen tech. One of them had a stolen plasma blade buzzing in his grip. Behind them, two terrified kids, siblings, cornered by the rest of the gang. "Please!" one of the kids cried out. A chuckle came from the gang leader. "Don't worry, kid. We're not monsters. We'll make it quick." A sudden whump echoed, like air getting punched. One of the thugs blinked. "Did you feel the—" His face met the pavement before he could finish. A hole in the air appeared where his nose used to be. The rest turned. A figure stood at the alley's mouth. Black suit, high collar, face half covered by a shifting mask of shadows. Silver lines gleaming faintly on his chest. No introduction, no warning, just his presence, and the sudden sense that none of them were going home. "Who the hell?" the leader barked. Adam didn't answer. He raised a hand. A crackle of energy formed between his fingers. Not lightning, not flame, just force. Raw, invisible, crushing. The plasma blade flew out of the thug's grip and turned to ash in midair. Adam stepped forward. One of the gangsters lunged with a crowbar. Adam didn't dodge. The moment the metal touched his chest, it shattered like glass. The fragments floated for a second, then melted into nothing. "What the—" Adam blinked. The next moment, they all hit the wall at once. Pinned by gravity they didn't understand. The concrete cracked behind them. He walked up to the terrified kids and offered a hand. "Go. That way." They nodded fast, scrambled, and vanished down the street. Adam turned back to the criminals. "You're not worth erasing," he said calmly. He snapped his fingers. They all blacked out instantly. No injuries, no pain, just lights out. Surveillance Tower HQ minutes later. Alarms blared. Live feed pinged into place. A blurry shadow figure in Sector 12. Dispatch confirmed no official hero responded in that area. "There he is," she muttered. The operator clicked a few times. No signal ID, no registered suit, no team, no comm trace. But she leaned closer. "He's wearing a symbol now." The operator zoomed in. The broken circle. The single line. "That's new." Another agent whispered. "Did he just wipe out a gang in 5 seconds?" The woman didn't answer. She just whispered one word. "Godspeed." Underground base, command room. Rook, Ivy, and Slate watched the playback from Sector 12. Kilo tapped the feed window. "That symbol. The people are already tweeting about it. Reddit too. They're calling him Null." Adam walked in just then. "Null?" he asked. Ivy nodded. "Yeah. Someone said it means empty of limits. Sounds cool, I guess." Adam smirked. "I like it. So that's the alias now?" Rook asked. Adam picked up a datapad, eyes on the monitor. "Sure. Let's make it official." "Already trending in 2 hours," Slate noted. "Civilians are calling you the quiet one. Some are scared, others impressed." Adam leaned back. "I'm not here to be liked." He pointed at the screen, at the map. "I want all villain networks in the city, where they eat, sleep, hide, recruit. I want every corrupt hero too. No one gets a pass." "Yes, sir," they answered in unison. "And I want media to get footage of what happens when real power stops pretending." Elsewhere, Villain Underground, Sector 3. A hologram flickered to life in a dirty room where 8 different villain bosses sat. The man in the middle scowled. "Who the hell is Null?" One of the others leaned forward. "Doesn't matter. He's unregistered. Some rogue freak trying to play God." "No hero does that clean a job," another growled. "That's not a hero. That's a message." The hologram zoomed into the broken circle. One of them stood. "I say we kill him before he gets ideas." They didn't know it yet, but Adam was already listening. One of his drones sat on the ceiling, cloaked in plain sight. He watched. He smiled. And back at his base, Adam whispered to himself, "Let's see how deep this rabbit hole really goes." And so the city learned his name. Null. the one who erased, the one who created, the one who didn't play by the handbook, but still walked their streets, like he owned them,